A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Jerry, at Fair Oaks.
Do you think these midterm exercises are going to be this afternoon?
I don't know. Ted Metcalf told me yesterday that they were always pretty short. Not like the ones at the end of the year.
Yeah, at the end of the year, they give out the diplomas and make promotions and stuff like that, huh?
Mm-hmm. Major Davis announces promotions of non-coms now, too. I mean, corporals and sergeants.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Lee, you'd better get all dressed instead of standing looking out of the window.
I'm dressed.
Oh, no, you're not. You haven't got your belt on.
Oh, I forgot.
Lee.
Yeah?
Don't feel so bad. About leaving Fair Oaks, I mean. Maybe something will happen at the last minute. Maybe when you get down to Mapleton and talk with Mr. Thorpe, it won't be as bad as you think it is now.
Oh, it'll be bad, all right. Mr. Thorpe wouldn't have written me the kind of letter he did if it wasn't bad.
Oh, you got a letter from him, too, huh?
Mm-hmm, yeah, this morning.
What'd he say, Lee? Do you mind telling me?
No, of course not. I'll read it to you. I've already put it in my bag. Wait a second. Yeah, here it is. Well, here it is.
Let's sit down a minute. We've got time, I guess.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
My dear Lee, you have by this time, of course, been informed by Major Davis of the unfortunate circumstances surrounding the present financial status of Waterman and Phillips. I'm aware that you will be, very naturally, extremely disappointed at learning of the necessity of your leaving Fair Oaks Military Academy. There's very little more that I can say to you by the written word, but I shall explain everything to you when you arrive home. With most sincere regrets, R.A. Thorpe. What's the matter, Jerry?
Huh? Oh, well, I don't know, Lee. That just didn't sound very much like a letter from an uncle, I guess.
No, you're right, it didn't. And Uncle Ross has never written that kind of a letter to me before. He's never even signed his name, R.A. Thorpe. He's always signed all his letters, Love, from Uncle Ross and Aunt Lou.
Oh, well, maybe he's so worried about the business and about your having to leave Fair Oaks that he didn't know what to write to you. That's probably the reason he wrote to Major Davis first, too.
Yeah, that's what I think. Well, let's go, huh?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hey, yeah, we gotta make a snap. That's first call.
Okay, come on. Say, Jerry, where's Mr. Randall?
He said he'd wait for me in the quad and walk over with us to the parade ground.
Oh, I see. Oh, there he is, sitting on one of the benches.
Uh-huh. Come on, let's run.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Randall.
Well, a reception committee in full dress uniform, huh?
Yes, sir. You going to walk over with us to the parade ground, Mr. Randall?
Yeah. Hey, there are quite a lot of the parents of the other cadets here today, aren't there?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry Mr. and Mrs. Thorpe couldn't have come up today, sir. So you could have met them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm sorry, too, but maybe Jerry and I'll have that pleasure a little later,
Well, I hope so, sir.
Say, Lee.
Yes, Jerry.
Do you mind running on ahead? I'd like to talk to Mr. Randall on the way over.
Oh, of course not.
Thanks.
Excuse me, sir?
Yeah. Thank you, Lee. See you right after the exercises. Our train leaves for Melrose City in about 45 minutes.
Yes, sir. I'm all ready.
Fine. Yeah, he's a great lad, that roommate of yours, son.
Gee, I know it, Mr. Randall.
Well, what did you want to see me about, Jerry? Something about Lee?
Well, I don't know.
You don't know? Say, what is this about?
Well, I hope you won't mind my asking you this, Mr. Randall.
Well, I don't know whether I'll mind or not until you ask me, but you go right ahead and I'll tell you.
Yes, sir. Well, I was wondering if that telegram you got at the hotel last night, the second one, from Jim Bennett.
Yes?
Well, I was wondering if that was about Lee, too.
Well, what in the world made you think a telegram from Jim Bennett to me would concern Lee Phillips?
I don't know, sir. Guess it was just because we were all thinking about the one you were sending to Mr. Thorpe, to ask him if Lee could come with us to winter quarters.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, right after you got the one from Mr. Thorpe, that other one came from Jim Bennett.
Well, don't you think it might have been concerning some business of my own, Jerry, in connection with the circus?
Yes, sir. It could have been. But, well, you remember you said that second telegram was one you couldn't tell us about.
That's right.
Well, gee, I don't know, Mr. Randall. I guess I just had a hunch. I guess it was a bad hunch, though.
No, Jerry, it wasn't a bad hunch. Your guess was a good one.
Golly, was it?
Yeah. That wire from Jim did concern Lee.
Gee, this is certainly getting you mixed up in Lee's business.
No, don't you worry about that part of it, son. I'm tickled to death to be able to do anything I can to help Lee out of this dilemma. Now, I'm going to tell you just a little of what I found out, but I'm also going to pledge you to absolute secrecy before I tell you.
Yes, sir. I won't tell a soul.
You mustn't even let on to Lee that I've told you anything at all.
No, sir, I won't.
I'm going to tell you this for two reasons. First, because during all the months you were with me in the circus, you proved that you could hold a trust. And second, because I want you to know about it, so you can help me solve a rather tough situation later on.
Yes, sir.
Jerry, Major Davis and I had a talk yesterday afternoon.
Yes, sir, I know.
It was he who told me that Lee's father was Carter Phillips of Waterman and Phillips. As I told you boys at dinner last night, I've done business with that firm for more than 15 years.
Yes, sir.
Jerry, when a circus like Randall Brothers buys a big printing order from a firm like Waterman and Phillips, we have to be sure that that printing firm is in good enough condition to fill that order, that the printers are sound enough financially to be able to buy all the paper and ink and other material to go ahead with the order. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
It's Jim Bennett's job to be sure that all the people we do business with can deliver, and deliver on time. Now, son, at the same time I wired Mr. Thorpe for his permission for Lee to visit you, I also wired to Jim and asked him for a report on the financial condition of Waterman and Phillips as of yesterday.
Oh, gee, I think I
You think you know what I'm going to say,
Are you... you found out from Jim Bennett that there's nothing wrong with Lee's dad's printing business.
That's exactly what I mean.
Gee.
Waterman and Phillips are in as good a financial condition as they ever were, and as far as I can tell right now, there should be no reason for Lee having to leave Fair Oaks.
Oh, golly, that's swell. That's wonderful, Mr. Randall.
Yes, it is, so far, son, but we're going to have to be very, very careful in the way we handle this.
Oh, yes, sir, I can see that.
It's a dangerous situation, meddling into the business affairs of someone else, but it just seems to me that there is a possibility that this Mr. Thorpe isn't quite square with Lee. And Major Davis and I are going to find out all about it.
Gee, I sure hope you do.
In the meantime, Jerry, don't you worry. I'm absolutely certain that Jerry Dougan and Lee Phillips are still going to be roommates at Fair Oaks Military Academy.
Oh, Mr. Randall, it's sure swell of you to do all this for Lee, and Oh, golly, that's assembly call. I've got to run, Mr. Randall.
Okay, go right ahead, Jerry. I'll see you later.
Jerry, where the heck have you been? Never mind, I'm here now.
Regiment, attention.
Regiment, defend.
That's in review.
That's in review.
What's right?
What's right?
What's right?
What's right?
Hey! Parade! Rest! Cadets of Fair Oaks Military Academy, once more we have come to the time when some of you are about to receive recognition for your efforts, your ability, and your fine spirit by promotions in the ranks of non-commissioned officers. Your faculty and your cadet officers have made the following appointments. To the rank of sergeant, Cadets Milford, Sparkman, and Wright. To the rank of corporal, Cadets Jackson, Harling, Nichols, Phillips, and Dougan.
Whoopee! Jerry, pipe down.
To those of you who are to wear sergeants and corporal chevrons for the first time next term, congratulations, and may you continue to advance within the ranks of this cadet corps. To those of you who have not yet received appointments, remember that motto of ours up above the main entrance of our academy, through Custis Hall: toil is the father of fame. May it be your reward to receive just recognition next time. Most of you will be returning here next term. Of course, as always, we shall welcome you. Some of you will not return. To you, our sincerest wishes for success on life's journey, and God bless you. Let us now sing our alma mater hymn as we part for a short time. Regiment, attention! All right, Cadet Captain Raymond.
Hail to thee, blue and gold, we sing thy praise. Proudly thy banner floats above as we proclaim our loyalty and love to thee. We our voices raise, our colors bold. Hail then to Fair Oaks and the blue and the gold.
Regiment, dismissed.
Come on, Corporal Dougan. We've got to catch a train.
Right with you, Corporal Phillips. Whoopee!
The bombs of fission had torn apart the Japanese will for war. But there were other Japanese, Japanese Americans who had lived here honorably as Americans, whose sons had fought for all of us in the European war theater. And these sons were coming home now to families who, during the war years, had been behind barbed wire in a strange American version of a concentration camp.
Arch Oboler's Plays. The Mutual Broadcasting System has the pleasure of presenting the 24th broadcast of a special 26-week series of plays by radio playwright Arch Oboler, a series of dramas concerning the people of this expanding world in which we live. Tonight's play is titled The Family Nagachi. He is home, Ben Nagashi. After 2 years overseas with the most decorated unit in the history of infantry battalions, he landed at Salerno, spearheaded the Fifth Army advance, held the front lines in Cassino 40 days, attacked at Anzio, led the breakthrough on Rome, and as part of the 442nd Infantry Regiment, led the American advance up Italy's west coast. Then to the 7th Army in France, charging up the Vosges Mountains and breaking the Nazi lines with cold bayonets. He's home, Ben Nagashi, with a Purple Heart, a Silver Star, a Division Citation, and a Distinguished Service Cross.
Come, my son. That is an excellent story. But now, please tell us, what did the general say?
Well, Dad, I told you. He said... Oh, the general didn't say a darn thing. He just saluted and handed over the citation to our company commander, and we all broke ranks and went back to eating those thick steaks and kissing those pretty Italian girls.
My son has uniform of warrior and imagination of poet.
Oh, Mama.
Well, gosh, Ben, which general was it? Eisenhower or Patton?
Neither. My brother was General Mark Clark, a great guy. No, Mama, you make rice like nobody else in the world.
Thank you, my son.
Mitsu, you don't eat, you don't say anything. I thought sure that by the time I'd get home, you'd have lots to say.
She has not changed.
Thank God for that. As far as I can see, nothing's changed. Mitsu, all of you, the house, fields.
How many Germans did you shoot all together? How many, Ben?
George. Yeah, that's Taboo Georgie, remember?
He has been waiting for you so eagerly, Ben.
Sure, Mitsu. Someday I'll tell you all about it, kid. Right now, well, how did the tomatoes do this year, Papa? It was so dark driving up, I was so excited I didn't even look or anything. Oh, you haven't answered me. How went the tomatoes this year?
We did not have time for much crop.
Why not?
Your father and mother and brother just got back, Ben.
Back? Where? Oh. The concentration camp.
Relocation center.
Behind barbed wire, what's the difference? So much has been happening, I'd forgotten what had been happening to all of you.
Manzanar was not bad.
I know that country. Desert. My father and my brother and my mother and my girl stuck out in the desert. I tell you, when I first heard about it, I almost went crazy. Took it out of me killing Germans. It's a good one, huh?
We have no bitterness.
Why not? Were second-generation citizens of German and Italian origin thrown out of their homes and stuck behind barbed wire in the desert?
There was a problem, a panic. They did what they thought was best at the moment.
Fine, Mitsu, fine. Turn the other cheek. The meek shall inherit the earth. There flew a squad of us from Italy to Belsen, and we saw the ashes of 50,000 of the meek. I saw the meek piled up like cordwood with the children of the meek in neat little piles of their own. I saw them all.
My son.
Oh. Oh, sorry.
Please, chicken, rice. Please eat.
We have been home 24 hours.
24 hours?
Yes, only a day. But as you yourself see, everything is as it was. Now we can stay here forever. No bitterness, only future. May we drink one more glass of wine and then go out into the fields?
All right.
Tucker? Then? Mitsu?
No, my glass is full.
Huh? My eldest son returned one. The words to be said are yours.
All right. Someone else said them before me. To the United States of America, right or wrong, my country.
You dirty Jap! We don't want you here! Get out!
Tucker! Mama, what?
I am all right.
Oh, the devil.
Ben, where are you?
Let go of me.
Ben,
My gun.
No.
I gotta get my gun.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Arch Oboler. You have just heard the beginning of a play titled The Family Nagachi. It is based upon material furnished me by our government. If you've just said old propaganda and have reached for the dial to turn to another station, may I ask you not to do so for a few moments. If you continue to listen, you will hear a drama that should be as close to you as your own heart. I bring you this play not because I'm a lover of those slant-eyed individuals who raped Nan King and made world pacts with Schicklgruber and company and starved and beat and murdered their English and Dutch and Chinese and American prisoners. I bring it to you because I, as you, know that an injustice done to any of us is an injustice to all of us. This, then, is a story not about Japanese Americans, but about Americans.
Let go of me. My gun. I gotta get my gun.
Ben, no.
Oh, you gotta let go.
No, Ben. No.
As my son struggled against Mitchell and myself to reach his gun, to reach those outside, even as I struggled with him, my thoughts were, why this? Why this? And suddenly, the years were there again. It was as if I were alone. San Francisco, 35 years before.
So.
One of my countrymen saying, I remember, yes, this is America, you young fool. Young fool. Yes, both unhappy. America at last. Here one grew rich without trying, and in just a little while I would be rich, and I would return to Japan with my riches.
Give you your board and your keep and $1 a month spending money. Take it, or I don't mind if you leave.
Young and a fool.
A, B, C, D.
So much to learn, so much to do.
Japanese.
So lonely. Yes, so...
The daughter of Hiroshi Nakashima in the old country. Why not bring her over for a wife?
Yes, my friend's advice. The daughter of Hiroshi Nagashima.
Bride from Japan? It can be arranged. For money. A great deal of money.
More work. Eat little, sleep little, work day and night. Until at last...
Konnichiwa.
Little Taka. I was lonely no more.
Makono oki, machi, wasamushi.
Yes, Taka. I remember. You say a city frightened you. You want green, birds. So we came out here. Oh, it was such wilderness then. I said to you, we will live here a little while, then we will go back to our Japan. Go back? With each year, our hearts went further into the land. 35 years into the land. Into America. The land was wilderness, barren. My wife and I and my son made it fertile. Our life. That is why there's so much fury in my son. He knows. Oh, God help him.
Let go of me. My gun. I gotta get my gun.
Ben, no.
You gotta let go.
No, Ben.
I am not frightened. At my son's anger, I feel only pain. If I was another mother, this would not be. I could go to their mothers. I could say to them, it is true. My husband and I have not been as you. I have been here almost lifetime, yet I can hardly speak your language. It is true, we have not been as you. But my sons are as you.
Atta boy, atta baby, hot dog. Oh, you kid. Well, now you're cooking.
I wanted to be as you, go among you. First you frighten me, You were all so very large and so very sure of yourself. I wanted to know you, for you to know me, but I did not know how to start. And the years went quick. Oh, but my sons, I watched them. They were as you.
Hey, Mom, all that stuff about the Japanese emperor being a god, you don't believe that malarkey, do you?
So much like you. Education. That my children must have to be as you. Know all things about this strange great land, of which I know so little.
Hey, Mom, I can recite the alphabet forwards and backwards faster than anybody in our room. Hey, Mom, I know what California is bounded by, and the Indians sold the island of Manhattan to the Dutch for $24. Big bargain, huh, Mom?
With every year so very much like
Hey,
you.
Mom, I hit a home run today. 2 men on base, and I hit a home run. Hey, Mom, I just got $15, and Joe says he'll sell me his jalopy for $20. Can I do it, Mom? Can I do it?
So very much like you.
Yeah, sure, Pop. California Aggie School is the place for me. I'm a hayseed from way back, and I might as well learn how to do it right. Well, I started at right tackle, but they put me at left half, and this season I'll be the blocking back. But next season, the coach says I can carry the needle. How about using the car tonight, Pop? I got to cut a rug with a new dish for Santa Ana.
So much like you, but I was saying.
My gosh, Mom, at least you ought to learn how to write English. After all these years. Well, gosh, what if I had to go away someplace and you had to write me a letter?
Always same. Not American, not quite Japanese. As I watched your anger and your hate, I knew only pain, my son. If I was only another sort of mother for you.
Let go of me. My gun. I gotta get my gun.
Ben, no.
You gotta let go of me. Please, I know what to do.
Until that moment, I had never seen you angry before, Ben. I'd known you ever since we were small children, and I'd never seen you angry. No. You must have been angry once, Ben. The day at the station.
Bits of the family went back to the car because they knew I wanted this last couple of minutes with you. Darling, I don't know where it'll be, where they'll send me. As soon as I know, I'll let you know. I wish we'd gotten married before I left.
But then...
No, don't say anything. Let me talk. Married because I wanted you so long. There's never been anybody else but you, little Mitchell. It couldn't be. I love you. I've wanted... Oh, I've said so little to you. I plan to say so much. Mitchell, listen. For a little while until the authorities get things straightened out, it may be pretty rugged. I mean, back here, hot-headed patriots. Oh, don't let it get you down. It won't last long. Folks around here know the family Nagashi's okay, and you're part of that family. Because I love you. I love you so much.
No hate.
Okay, so you're a citizen. It doesn't make any difference. You have 12 hours to get out of this town to the camp where you belong.
But I had that hate, Ben.
That's too bad, sister. You'll have to leave all that stuff behind.
In the bus, step lively.
This camp will be your home indefinitely. You're not allowed outside the confines of the barbed wire.
Stuff your mattresses with straw. Step lively.
I'm sorry. The government didn't issue any of those for you.
I'm sorry, we haven't got any of that.
I'm sorry, we haven't got any.
I'm sorry, we haven't got any.
I never wrote you of it, Ben. I never wrote you about the worst day of all.
Darling, last lead. Could you meet me, Chicago, next Sunday? Get married. Love, Ben.
I'm sorry, miss. It is quite beyond my authority to permit you to leave the relocation center for any such reason. I sympathize with you, but my orders are explicit. You must stay within the confines of the camp until further notice.
Such bitterness and hatred. I haven't them anymore. Now you have them.
It is very late, my son. They will not return.
I want to sit out here.
The gun. Let me put it away now.
Wait a minute. Maybe it's a welcome home committee.
Ben.
Welcome home, Ben Nagashi. You've been away a long time. You got a belly full of Salerno mud and mortar shells and Heine mines and Mark IV tanks. So here's the fatted calf in our hands in friendship. Thanks, pal. How's the crops? You want some help? If so, I hate them. I'll kill them or I'll let them come back.
When your train left that day, I didn't ride back with you.
What? What'd you say?
That day you left. After you'd gone, I went back to the library. I wanted to work. There were some new books for me to catalog. The first one, the page opened on a poem by Robert Nathan. I've read it so many times since. I know every word. About the boys going to war. Where are they going? They smile and wave goodbye. Young faces passing by on their way into history. Peering out, taking a last look at the country. Looking for something like home. Like the mother face of America. The father face of America. And the lonely girl there on the platform, on her way back to school after the holidays, feels her heart grow too big for her body. She waves too and weeps, although she does not know why. They are boys. They are young like herself. They would be friends of hers if she knew them. They are all young together, going by, going away, passing each other, smiling, going away forever. Ben, all the time you were away, when they talk about men overseas changing, I said not Ben. Tonight, at first you laughed the same, you talked the same. But when it happened, now, if you want to hurt and kill Ben, whoever they were, whatever they said, what does it matter? You're back, and I'm here. Isn't that enough?
Didn't you hear them? You're nothing now but a Jap. I know this. I got a gun in my hand, and they'll come back. A dirty little fascist. Listen.
Ben.
2 carloads this time. Into the house.
Ben, you...
Get in there, I tell you.
I won't. I'll stay.
Okay. Oh, they got reinforcements now. That's all right with me.
Ben, I heard automobiles. Who?
Oh, I knew they'd be back.
Ben, do not do anything.
Not yet. Bitsu, turn on the porch light. I want to see their faces. Turn it on. You see? Not strangers at all. Our neighbors, tried and true. Did you ever return the stone hammer I lent you, Mr. Greer? How are you, Mr. Randall? Joe still got the football we won at the Fresno game? Mr. Horton? Mr. Haas? Mr. Ames? Mr. Alberti? Fred Knox? How are you, Mr. Parks? Maybe you'd like me to come over and save your fruit trees again.
Ben.
No, I've been waiting 3 years to get home and talk to you. What's your hurry? Why not be sociable about it? The Nagashis have been here for 30 years. A couple of minutes more won't poison your purity. Or maybe you don't like to see me standing here in this uniform. Okay, I'll take it off. You can have it, including the ribbons.
Ben, we would have been here sooner, but we only heard that you were home, that your family had come back. We only heard just a little while ago what happened here tonight. We know who they are, Ben. They're not anyone you know or who knew you. What they did because they were ignorant little minds who think they see a chance to get your land. It won't happen. We'll take care of them. But most of all, we're here to say, welcome home, Ben. Just welcome home.
Well, would you...
You will forgive my son for going away. His heart is too full. Perhaps tomorrow... So, we are here. How soon will you again be removing Indian from Angel One, my son?
Drives all right.
It was like egg in cold storage.
So a mother has her Sunday joke. Come, George, Mitchell.
Ben, aren't you getting out?
Go ahead, please. I'll be...
My son, why do you...
Please, Dad, let me see.
Ben, it isn't good. Please come in with us. What reason is there not?
Come, my son.
Oh.
Mother, George.
Isn't Ben coming to church?
I do not know.
Why doesn't he come?
We are so late. Services have begun.
It is an ill-used word. A word weary with repetition, with misuse. Evil is hidden behind it and will hide behind it again unless we guard well. Be tolerant of me, the greatest evil in human history has cried. And we who were tolerant and saw evil begin to cover the earth with its swastika and rising sun, began to question not our foolishness, but our tolerance. And so we began to give some of our hate to tolerance. And so tolerance became a word of softness, of soft things, and an easy indulgence that cost the world a bloody toll. My friend, the time has come for re-examination and re-application of tolerance. Now we must have a tolerance with strength, a tolerance that denies the very right of existence to evil, but that grants to every man the right of existence if that right is based in a common brotherhood of man. What took place last night...
Gee, Pop, everybody's looking at us.
Come in, my neighbors. We were hoping you would join us.
Come, we will take our seats.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Welcome back home.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have seats up front for you.
Please, if we might sit in our old places.
Of course, just as you like.
Thank you. In here, Mama first. George, me too.
Welcome home, Mrs. Nagashi.
Glad to see you back.
Good to see you.
Welcome home.
May we quiet down, please? From all of us, Mr. and Mrs. Nagashi, a hearty welcome home. May God grant that you and yours will never leave us again.
Thank you.
Each of us has a personal debt to Ben. Ben is not with you?
He is outside.
Outside? Mr. Gardner, Mr. Jackson, would you go out and ask Ben Nagashi if he would come in?
Mr. Nagashi, I should go out help him.
No, Mitsu, no. Sit here.
But I...
Because I wish it.
Papa, he's coming in. Papa, why is everybody standing up? Why is everybody standing up?
Why? They are honoring your brother.
Ben, would you come up here, please? Welcome home, Ben.
Thank you, sir.
Ben, I was talking about intolerance before you came in. I don't know if I'm qualified to speak about it. All my life I've been accepted. My family, pioneer stock, my skin, my religion. Everything conformed, so I've never really known intolerance. After last night. Talk to us, Ben. Say whatever you want to say to us. You have the right to speak to us in any way you see fit.
Whatever I'd like to say. Once, one of the worst days we had back there, when it looked as if for the first time we'd have to fall back because they were throwing everything they had at us and we had so little to throw back at them. For just, well, maybe it was a few seconds, there wasn't anything coming at us, and I lay on the ground and I thought, when I get home, if I get home, no trouble will ever mean anything deep in me anymore. I was wrong, because yesterday I knew a worse kind of trouble than anything that the Nazis ever did to me. Even in the dirtiest foxhole, I'd had a place because I was an American. No matter where I was, I had that. But yesterday, somebody broke a window and yelled some words at me. All in a minute, I had nothing. And my father and my mother who had given their lives for me to have something, they had nothing. Near Anzio, a piece of mortar shell hit me right away. The pain was as if somebody was tearing every one of my nerves out by the roots. And nobody could get to me, and I lay there and the pain went on, never stopping. I tried to knock myself out to stop it, but I couldn't. In the middle of it all, I suddenly thought, stay with it. Nothing will ever hurt you as much ever again. Nothing will ever hurt you as much ever again. I was wrong again. Yesterday, while I was hating you and hating this place and the whole country, some of you came over to tell me what had happened, and it wasn't you. It wasn't you wanting us out and hating us. That you knew that that was when it hurt the most, because I hadn't believed in you the way I believed in the fellows in my squad, my battalion. That you knew that inside we were the same. I mean, the same. I'll never think any differently as long as I live. No matter what happens from here on in. How many windows break, what words do they throw at me? I'll believe in you. And that's all I've got to say.
Just heard Mr. Elliot Lewis in the leading role of the Family Nagachi, a new play by Art Oboler, based upon material furnished by the United States Department of Interior. The cast included Lou Merrill, Barbara Eiler, Joseph Granby, Tommy Cook, Lynn Whitney, Bill Shaw, Mary Jane Cross, Norman Field, Bill Johnstone, Alan Hewitt, and Sergeant Harry Conaway of the illustrious 100th Infantry Battalion. Announcer Dick Wynn. The original music was composed and conducted by Jack Meekin.
And now, stay tuned for the program that is rated tops in popularity for a longer period of time than any other West Coast program in radio history. The Signal Oil program, The Whistler. Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline, invite you to sit back and enjoy another strange story by The Whistler.
I am The Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Signal Oil Company, The Whistler's strange story, Ski Master.
With the winter carnival approaching, Sylvana's skiing lodge in the Rocky Mountains was a beehive of activity, revolving about the handsome ski master, Carl Gordon. Carl was an American, but had spent many years in the Bavarian Alps. Following the close of World War II, He had returned to America and served as ski master at resorts on both coasts and in Canada. And now, Carl, you watch idly as gaily dressed sports lovers swarm through the lodge lobby, laughing, happy people from all over the world. Suddenly your glance falls on a middle-aged man. He doesn't look like a sports enthusiast, does he, Carl? You watch him closely as he surveys the lobby with a look of disdain, and then hurries over to a striking young woman sitting in the corner. You edge closer, Carl, straining to hear.
Dr. Prentice, you here?
Yes, Clorinda, I flew.
From New York?
Yes, I left the minute I read about your skiing accident.
And you came all the way across the country because you read that I'd hurt my ankle? Why, you darling.
Then it's not serious?
Why, not at all. The doctor in the village fixed it up very well.
Good. By the way, there was something else in the column.
Yes?
A mention of a romance between you and the local ski master.
Well, I don't see how that could have been printed. No one here knows anything about it. It's a secret between Carl and me.
A girl who has one of the largest fortunes in the country can have no secrets.
No, I'm afraid not.
But what about this romance? What's his name?
Carl Gordon. And I'm in love with him.
Carl Gordon? American, eh? Usually these ski instructors
Well,
are
Carl spent a great deal of time in Bavaria during the war. Also in Switzerland.
Yes. Tell me, Clorinda, does your father know?
No, I hope not. You know he'd try to stop it.
But what about this Gordon? Who is he? How do you know he isn't after your money?
Not Carl. I know he loves me, not my money.
I hope so. When do I meet him?
Well, right away. I'm sure he's around. Oh, Carl!
Yes, Miss Rogers.
Dr. Prentice, may I present Carl Gordon?
How do you do?
I'm honored, Dr. Prentice.
Dr. Prentice has just arrived, Carl. He's one of my father's oldest friends.
Oh? Have you come for the sports carnival, Doctor?
As a matter of fact, no. But I think I might remain.
Oh, Doctor, can you do that?
Oh, I think I can arrange it.
Then you shall give me away.
Give you away?
Yes, at my wedding. Carl and I are planning to be married during the carnival.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Doctor.
I suppose you are very happy about this.
Yes, indeed. I'm the happiest man in the world.
And you are happy, aren't you, Carl? At last, your dream is about to be realized. A wife with money, a big fortune. This is what you've been striving for all these years. Why you chose skiing as a profession in the first place. But things hadn't worked out as you planned, had they, Carl? No. Not after you married Frida, a beautiful country girl in Switzerland before the war. After the bombing of Munich came the news that Frida was killed. But that's all in the past, isn't it, Carl? Now you have a fine future as the husband-to-be of a very rich woman. And you're determined to let nothing spoil it. Later, when you meet Dr. Prentice in the bar, you try to avoid him.
Care for a drink, Mr. Gordon?
No, thank you, Doctor. I seldom drink.
But surely a glass of kirsch.
Well, all right, Doc, if you insist.
Waiter, 2 glasses of kirsch, please. I might as well come straight to the point, Mr. Gordon. What's this about your planning to marry Clorinda Rogers?
Oh, we're very much in love.
No doubt you think so. I've known Clorinda all her life. She's been engaged to 6 men.
Naturally. She's very lovely.
And very rich.
You're very unkind.
Clorinda's impressionable, fickle. She was in love with a music teacher when she was only a child. Her father sent him away. Then it was her tennis instructor, a golf pro, and a lifeguard.
I don't see how this concerns Miss Rogers and me.
She did not marry any of these men, Gordon. And she won't marry you.
I think she will.
No, she won't. Not if I can find a way to prevent it. And I certainly intend to.
The doctor's manner is infuriating, isn't it, Carl? And you wonder what he's going to do. He has a great influence on Clorinda, there's no doubt about that. And he'll probably try to prevent your being alone with her. The 3 of you are at dinner when Mr. Wood, the manager of the lodge, comes to your table.
You have nothing to worry about, Dr. Prentice. I've arranged for you to keep your room throughout the carnival.
Well, that's very nice of you. I realize how crowded you are.
Oh, now, don't mention it. No trouble is too great for a friend of Miss Rogers.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. You're very kind.
Is everything satisfactory?
Very. I must compliment you on the excellent service in spite of the crowd.
Thank you. Fortunately, the extra waitresses arrived this afternoon.
Well, look quite colorful.
Yes. We always dress them in Bavarian costumes for the sports carnival. We're starting in a bit early this year. Now, if there's anything you want, anything at all.
Those Bavarian costumes are very effective, aren't they, Mr. Gordon?
Why, yes, Doctor, they are, in a way.
Oh, look, Carl. That girl over there. The one with the long blonde braids.
Oh?
She looks like a real Bavarian, doesn't she?
Yes. Yes, I suppose she does.
What's the matter, Carl? You aren't yourself tonight.
Oh, really? Well, I'm sorry. Perhaps I'm a bit tired.
Tired? With a physique like yours? Nonsense. Tell you the truth, Gordon. You act as if you'd just seen a ghost.
And you have seen a ghost, haven't you, Carl? The new waitress. The one with the long blonde braids. The resemblance is remarkable. A little older and thinner, perhaps, but so much the same. And you must know at once. Quickly you excuse yourself and leave the dining room. You take a short walk to steady your nerves. Later, you go to the back door of the kitchen where the waitresses will come out. Restlessly pace up and down, remaining in the shadows. Finally, the girls come out in pairs, laughing and talking together as they go down the path to the servants' quarters. At last, she comes out, alone. The one with the blonde braids. You make sure that you aren't observed, and then you start down the path after her and call softly.
Frida. Frida.
Who is it? Will somebody call me?
Yes, Frida. I called you.
Oh, no. It isn't. It couldn't be.
Frida, be quiet.
But, Carl, it's you. It's you, my husband. Oh, Carl, I've found you at last.
Here in Hollywood, where The Whistler is produced, this was the week the movie folks awarded their coveted Oscars. Too bad there isn't an Oscar for gasoline, because I'm sure Signal gasoline would have run away with the honors for outstanding performance. Just as some actors become typed in certain roles, you may have typed Signal gasoline for economy because of its fame as the Go Farther gasoline. But economy, mind you, is only the beginning of Signal's story. The important thing is what makes Signal's good mileage possible. The fact that Signal gas helps your engine run so efficiently. For when your engine runs efficiently, you can depend on it to deliver an outstanding performance in any role. Quick starting, peppy pickup, smooth power. So if you want your car always to perform as if it had just won an Oscar, keep in mind that performance and mileage are like birds of a feather. They go together. To get both, get Signal, the famous Go Farther gasoline.
Well, Carl, things have taken a strange turn, haven't they? Just when your future seemed assured. Your marriage to wealthy Clorinda Rogers about to become a reality. Your wife, Frida, the wife you thought was dead, has turned up from the past. But you're not going to let anything interfere and spoil things, are you, Carl? No. Somehow you must find a way out. Only you'll need time, won't you, to think things over and work out a plan. You stand almost petrified, staring at Frida as she continues to talk. And then...
But, Carl, you are so quiet. Why do you not say something?
Well, it's such a shock to me, Frida.
But a happy one, Carl.
Oh, yes, of course, but I thought you were dead, the bombing of Munich.
Our home was bombed. I lost everything, but I was saved. I was with the displaced persons. So long. You tried to find me, Carl?
Oh, of course, of course.
I tried hard to find you. I wrote everywhere. But no one knew of Carl Gruber.
Well, I changed my name to Carl Gordon.
But why?
Oh, it's easier to pronounce, more American. After all, Frida, I am an American.
Yes. So now I am Mrs. Carl Gordon. Mrs. Carl Gordon.
Hush, Frida, not so loud.
But why not?
Well, I'm the skiing master here. They want only single men for skiing masters in America.
Who? But why?
Well, it's the custom. If anyone finds out we're married, I'll be fired. Now, you wouldn't want that, would you?
Oh, no, Carl, of course not.
You must act as though you've never seen me before. Can you do that?
I would try.
Good. And we can both keep our jobs and work hard and save our money.
So that we can be together, always.
Yes, Frida. Always.
You will come to my cabin, Carl? There it is, the one way in the back.
Yes, Frida, but not tonight. I'm busy.
But when, Carl?
Tomorrow night. After dinner. Say, about 10.
I will be waiting. Good night, Carl.
Well, Carl, one thing is clear. Frida hasn't changed. She'll never let you go, will she? But you have until tomorrow night to think things out. And you feel certain that she won't talk. But you know you'll have to be careful. Very careful. Make certain Frida doesn't see you with Clorinda Rogers. You know Frida's jealousy, the bitter quarrels in the past over your attentions to other women. So the next morning you carefully avoid Clorinda. But later she finds you on the terrace.
Oh, Carl, darling. Where have you been all morning?
Giving lessons.
I've missed you.
Well, now you have the company of your friend, Dr. Prentice.
Well, I'm not so sure that he is my friend, Carl.
What makes you think that, dear?
Now, Carl, you won't get angry. You won't think that I'm a child tied to apron strings.
What is it, Clorinda? You can tell me.
Well, you're going to meet someone. My friend, as you call him, Dr. Prentice. He arranged this.
Arranged what?
For my father to come here. For the sports carnival, Dr. Prentice says. And Father hates winter sports. Dr. Prentice just sent for him to try to break up our marriage.
No one can do that. Where is he, Clorinda? Your father?
Oh, you're not angry then?
Not at all.
Oh, darling, it's going to be all right. At the first possible opportunity, we'll drive into the village, and we'll get our marriage license.
Right. But now, Clorinda, shouldn't you introduce your fiancé to your father?
Yes, of course, Carl. Father and Dr. Prentice, well, they're in the cocktail lounge. Come along, darling.
Clorinda, I must say you've been keeping something from me. Had I known such places as this existed...
It is fun, isn't it, Father? And I'm so pleased that you approve of Carl.
Huh? Yes.
You seem quite captivated by the atmosphere of Sylvana Lodge, sir.
Yes, he even surprises me on that score.
I dare say, Doctor.
Yes, beautiful view out this window, don't you think, Clorinda? Very much like Bavaria.
Yes, Father.
Bavaria. I understand you've been there, Carl.
Yes, I have.
You watch me from the top. No, I will go down, Carl. Here I
go. Frida, you hurt.
I don't know. Oh, how stupid of me to fall.
What happened?
Carl, I will never be able to ski anymore.
You can walk.
Yes. Yes, I think so. You will help me up, Carl?
Yes, dear. I'll help you. Now, look, Frida, if you can make it all right, we'd better go back separately. There's a shortcut just around that turn. You go that way, huh?
I understand. We don't want you to be fired.
You are all right now.
Oh, yes, Carl. I'm all right now.
That's fine.
This is my day off. I can rest. I will stay in my cabin all day.
That's a good idea, Frida. Yes, stay in your cabin all day. Mr. Wood.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hello, Carl.
Miss Rogers wants me to go to the village with her this afternoon.
Anything to please Miss Rogers?
We'll be gone a few hours.
But it's starting to snow. There may be a storm.
I know. We're going to use the sleigh.
Oh, well, fine.
Oh, by the way, would you mind not mentioning to anyone where we've gone?
Of course not, if Miss Rogers doesn't want it known.
No, she doesn't. Oh, and before I forget it, I'm afraid I did a very stupid thing.
Yes?
Well, I got a ski outfit and skis for that new German waitress.
Frida Gruber?
Yeah. I shouldn't have done it. She's good. She's very good, but she's just out of shape.
No, I suppose not. Well, she'd just better take it easy.
And she's very reckless, too. She doesn't know the country. I saw her this morning near Thunder Cliff.
Thunder Cliff? You mustn't go near there. There are signs all over the place.
Yeah, there are signs, but you may not understand them. You know, we phrase things so differently in America.
Yeah, well, you just talk to her, Gordon. Explain exactly what they mean so there'll be no mistake. And tell her that you must not go skiing alone.
All right, I will, Mr. Wood. I'll make it very clear to her.
Yes, do that. The Thunder Cliff. Carl, it's just absolute suicide and an accident right now positively ruined the sports carnival.
Well, Carl, you've made one more step in your plan, haven't you? A reasonable explanation for the accident at Thunder Cliff. And the storm has played into your hands, too. The snow will cover your tracks. Late that night, after you and Clorinda returned from the village, where you went for a marriage license, you slip into Frida's cabin. She's sleeping a deep, heavy sleep. You put a pillow over her face. It's all over quickly. And you look through the cabin for anything else which might connect you with her. The rest of your plan is more difficult, but you finally accomplish it. And 2 hours later, Frida's body, dressed in her pieces, is at the bottom of Thunder Cliff. In the morning, when you go into the lobby, there's an air of tension, as if something had happened. The sheriff and a couple of members of the ski patrol are at the desk with Mr. Wood.
Carl, will you come here a moment, please?
Well, certainly, Mr. Wood.
Carl, that German waitress, did you talk to her about skiing alone?
Well, yes, I did, Mr. Wood. I made it very plain.
Well, she didn't take your advice, and it's cost her her life.
No. What's happened, Sheriff?
The girl went over the edge of Thunder Cliff. Her body was found at the bottom. It was obviously an accident. Yeah, I guess we'd better fill out the accident report.
Every person who owns a car should know about what has been called the greatest improvement in automobile batteries in 20 years. An improvement which is now yours to enjoy in Signal Deluxe batteries. I'm referring to micro-porous all-rubber separators, which not only permit freer flow of acid between the plates, but are themselves impervious to the action of the acid. As a result, new Signal Deluxe batteries deliver up to 35% more power, ready to run your car radio and all the other electrical gadgets on today's cars. In addition, new Signal Deluxe batteries last so long, they're guaranteed not just for the usual 12 or 18 months, but for a full 30 months on a service basis. That makes the cost per month so low, you're actually saving money while enjoying the extra power and dependability of a Signal Deluxe battery. So before you buy any battery, get your Signal dealer's trade-in offer for your old battery. Find out his convenient credit terms. Prove for yourself that today's best battery buy is today's finest battery. The new, improved Signal Deluxe battery at Signal service stations. It went very simply and smoothly, didn't it, Carl? The body of your wife, Frida, was found at the bottom of Thunder Cliff. The sheriff considers it an accident. And now nothing stands in the way of your marriage to wealthy Clorinda Rogers. You're helping the sheriff to fill out the accident report when Dr. Prentice comes up.
This is Dr. Prentice, Sheriff. Good. We need your help, Doctor. There's been an accident.
An accident? I'll get my bag and be with you right away.
No, it's too late for that. The accident was fatal. That new German waitress was skiing and went over a cliff.
Surely you don't mean Frida Gruber?
Yes, Doctor. It's just terrible.
It's impossible. The girl couldn't have gone skiing.
Well, she did, and she was very reckless. Well, Carl here warned her.
That's right, Doctor.
Oh. The girl had a displaced kneecap, an old injury. She hurt it again skiing yesterday morning. She called me last night, said she didn't want the lodge physician to know anything about it. Asked me not to mention it.
Well, it doesn't seem likely she'd go skiing with a bad knee.
Not only that, she was in great pain. I gave her a strong sedative. She couldn't have wakened naturally before noon.
Then someone wakened her, took her out to the cliff, pushed her over?
I see no other explanation, Sheriff.
But who'd want to do that? Did she have any enemies here, Miss Wood?
Oh, no. She was a displaced person when she just arrived. She knew no one here and talked very little.
Who did she talk to? Lou Gordon?
Well, we only talked on the subject of skiing, Sheriff. I warned her at Mr. Wood's request.
Did she say anything to you, Dr. Prentice, about anyone wanting to kill her?
Of course not. And she didn't seem to be the sort of girl who would make enemies. She was naive, sweet, so happy about being in America.
Well, sure beats me.
Seemed very anxious to learn American customs. Oh, that reminds me. She made a rather amusing request.
Well, what was it?
Well, she gave me a letter that arrived for her yesterday. She insisted I have Mr. Wood put it in the hotel safe. She had the quaint idea that everything was kept in the safe in America.
Well, what's this? Maybe throw some light on the matter.
Here it is. Right here. It's apparently forwarded to her from some refugee association. I doubt if it'll be any help.
Well, I'll take a look. Dear Madam, we are pleased to inform you that we have finally located your missing husband. He is working as skiing instructor at Sylvana Lodge, Colorado, under the name of Carl Gordon.
Let that whistle be your signal for the Signal Oil program, The Whistler, each Sunday night at this same time. Meantime, Signal Oil Company and the friendly independent dealers who help you go farther with Signal gasoline hope you'll remember. Regardless of what gasoline you use, you'll enjoy more miles of happy driving if you drive at sensible speed, obey traffic regulations, and avoid taking chances. You may even save a life, possibly your own. Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Gerald Moore, Isabel Jewell, Gladys Holland, Ed Begley, John Daner, and Herb Butterfield. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by George Adrian and Carol Nix, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler is entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental. Remember to tune in at this same time next Sunday when the Signal Oil Company will bring you another strange story by The Whistler. Marvin Miller speaking for the Signal Oil Company. Stay tuned now for our Miss Brooks starring Eve Arden, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is the CBS Radio Network.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London. From the Black Museum. Here in the grim stone structure on the Thames, which houses Scotland Yard, is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a picture frame, a coat hanger, a file folder, a baby buggy, all are touched by murder. Here's a hammerhead, made of cast steel, well-shaped, extremely familiar, the front end blunt, solid, designed for driving nails, the clawed prongs at the rear for pulling nails, very practical, very, very, very familiar, and so very, very, very lethal.
Odd one, this, wasn't it, Inspector? Just a little extra patience, a little extra routine work cost? Well, that's one way to look at it, sir. I prefer to remember it as the case which began with almost 24 disappearances and wound up with one killer who used a hammer with purpose.
Well, today that hammerhead can be seen here in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum. In just a moment, you will hear The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. Now, The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
we are, in the Black Museum. Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. Beyond these walls, the Thames seethes with a commerce which is life to London. Within these walls, where some of the river's dampness exudes from vaulted stone, there is quiet, very sinister quiet, the kind of silence which inevitably surrounds objects touched by horror and fear. Yes, here lies death. Behind glass doors, peaceful, inanimate objects on deal tables. The authorities have provided suitable identification in labels and neatly lettered cards. The motives, actions, and the reasons why these objects rest here now were all provided by murderers. Here's a calendar, the usual 12-page printed piece with a picture of a pretty girl to decorate it. The holidays are marked as usual in red. One other day is marked as well. The day and date of a murder. Strangely, that red circle led to capture and conviction, of course, to execution. Now, here we are. Here's the Hammerhead I told you about. It's an efficient tool. It's Hammerhead, type used by generations of carpenters, by millions everywhere for work around the house. Hardly a home is without one. And one would expect that a story involving such a tool would begin in somebody's home. On the contrary, this tale begins in the direct antithesis to a home. It begins in a London railroad station.
Let me have my bag, will you?
Yes, sir. Your check, please.
Right you are.
Thank you, sir. Here it is, sir.
Hey, that's not my bag. Mine's a Gladstone.
I'm sorry, sir. Just let me see the checks. Oh.
What's wrong? Are you sick?
No, sir. It's just my hand.
You cut yourself? That's blood.
Yes, I know. But it's not a cut, sir. It's from the bag.
Well, open it, man. Don't stand there.
Yes, sir. It doesn't seem like much of a lock on it, sir. Oh. What does one do now, sir?
When you find part of a body in a valise, you call the police, of course. What else?
Yes, please wait. Yes, I'll call them.
Yes, call the police. Start the wheels moving, the wheels of police routine, which grind slowly but inevitably toward discovery. In this particular situation, the call led eventually to the office of Inspector Church at the yard.
Information cross. The contents of that valise at Charing Cross belong to a torso found in Brighton.
Another one in Brighton, sir?
Number 23. 23 girls missing. Just unreported.
Photos available, sir?
In most cases. Here's the assembled composite of the latest.
Pretty little thing. To wind up so widely separated as London and Brighton.
Here's the setup for now. I'm assigning a man individually to each case. Identify any found bodies, trace the known missing. I'm taking Daisy Baker myself. You'll take over here, and all the information will channel through you.
Very well, sir. Why the Baker girl for yourself, sir?
Oh, she is, or was, the common-law wife of Jamie Marsden.
That one!
Remember him?
Oh, picked him up in his first conviction myself. Rather a long record, hasn't he, sir?
All petty crimes, short sentences. In any case, the Baker woman's been reported missing by her sister. It might be worth a trip to see the sister. Name is Crandall, Ruth Crandall. Before I drop in Marsden, I think I'll visit the lady.
A routine call to inquire the reasons for a woman's worry about her missing sister. Inspector Church found Ruth Crandall at home.
So, when I planned to go down to stay with Daisy, well, to see her anyway, and the wire came, well, you see how it is, Inspector.
May I see the wire, Mrs. Crandall?
Yes, I have it just here, in the desk. Yes, here it is.
I see. Going abroad. Good job. Sail Sunday. Will write. It doesn't tell us very much, does it?
Well, I tried to call. Her husband, well, he wasn't very cooperative. He said she'd upped and packed her things and told him she was bound for Paris for a dancing job.
Oh, Miss Baker is a dancer?
That's how it was. She was living in Brighton. She was in some show down there.
And you feel something is wrong?
Definitely. I don't know exactly why, but... Well, you see, the wire doesn't even say love. And that makes it seem strange, too, doesn't it, Inspector?
Perhaps, Mrs. Crandall. And you've no other information, nothing you can put your finger on?
No. Except, of course, that I hadn't heard from Daisy since the wire came.
The inspector was puzzled. None of it felt right. None of it conformed at all to the usual pattern. Ruth Crandall had nothing factual to go on, and a woman's instinct is never evidence on which to base an arrest or a conviction. Still, the inspector took the train to Brighton and called on Jamie Marsden at 35 Park Row.
Yes?
Remember me, Marsden?
copper, ain't you?
Yes, Chief Inspector Church, CID.
Well, come in, Inspector. I don't suppose this is a social visit.
No, I'm a bit busy for that sort of thing.
Oh, well, sit down anyway, Inspector.
Just a few questions.
Well, go ahead.
I hear you married since we last met.
Yes, I did. Nice girl.
She home?
Well, no, as a matter of fact, she's gone off to Paris. Her job as a dancer over there.
So her sister told me.
Yeah, well, she wired her sister. Nothing much my sister-in-law would want to see me about, so, there wasn't much sense in her coming all the way down to Brighton when Daisy wasn't here.
I assume you have your wife's address.
No, Inspector.
Oh?
We had a bit of a dust-up before Daisy left. She, flounced out of here, all kind of mad, as you might say.
Mrs. Crandall know this?
No. Mrs. Crandall don't take to the likes of me, so I saw no reason to tell anything she didn't have to know. If Daisy wants to reach her, she knows where.
Well, that's it, I suppose. You'll be here if I want to see you again, Marsden?
I'm moving. 3 rooms is a bit large for me, seeing as I was on my own these days. The new place is at Maitland Street, number 26. It's a good bit cheaper, more suited to my means.
A check of the habitual haunts and acquaintances of Daisy Baker drew another blank. Some had heard she'd gone off to Paris. No one knew where. Meanwhile, the reports on other missing girls were equally discouraging.
That's the lot, eh, Cross?
That's the lot, sir. When another missing one reported, makes an even 2 dozen, sir.
Have they tried the picture of the girl we found in Charing Cross on this new report?
Not the same girl, sir.
Too bad.
No luck with Marsden, I presume?
No luck at all. Edgy sort of fellow, that one.
Yes, he ought to be. He's much too familiar with us, and he knows it.
Well, there's no help for it. It'll have to be a house-to-house search.
The usual district, Inspector?
All of Brighton.
Rather a large order, Inspector.
Finding 14 missing girls and identifying 6 of 10 bodies is quite an order, Cross. There's no help for it. It'll have to be done. Chances are we'll have to lend Brighton...
The hard, dull slogging of police routine. Divide a city into sections. Assign groups of detectives in pairs to each section, then walk from house to house, from cellar to attic, pausing for the questions. Try to locate someone who has seen something, who may know one of the missing persons by sight. Try. Keep trying.
Well, there was nothing there.
It's jobs like this, Inspector, that make me wonder why I wanted to be a policeman.
It's jobs like this, Shaw, that make good policemen out of ambitious young men. Well, next address.
26 Maitland.
I expect Jimmy Marsden won't be looking for me this quickly.
Marsden? Who's that?
Oh, petty criminal. His wife was reported missing by her sister. Turned out she'd gone off to a job in Paris in a huff. Knock on the door, Shaw, will you?
Yes.
Sordid kind of story. Even a touch of the dope racket in it.
Yes?
My credentials. CID. Also a search warrant.
Well, your men certainly didn't waste any time. Please come in.
Waste any time?
Yeah, I called the police about 5 minutes ago. They said they'd send someone over.
Are you the landlord?
I am, Inspector.
Well, we're here on a matter of our own. However, what's the trouble?
Notice anything, sir?
I do. How about you, Shaw?
Yes, sir, I do.
It's from this room. The tenant is out just now. Left his door locked. Name of Marsden.
Well, is that so? Just as well we have the search warrant. Try your shoulder on that door, Shaw.
Yes, sir.
Oh, we've never had anything like this before, sir.
There's nothing much here unless it's on the walls.
There's a trunk in the closet, sir.
Drag it out. Cut those cords.
Yes, sir.
Good Lord. May I stay outside, Inspector?
Yes, of course.
I wonder Marsden isn't home.
Well, Daisy Baker didn't go to Paris after all. Took quite a beating, didn't she? Looks like a blunt instrument did the job. Call headquarters, Shaw. Pick up order for Jamie Marsden.
And today, that Hammerhead can be seen here in the Black Museum.
In just a moment, we will continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. And now we continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
The wires were alive with a search for Jamie Marsden. Somewhere in England, the little petty thief was hiding. And sometime he would be found. According to Chief Inspector Church,
the man almost undoubtedly killed Daisy Baker, and there's no question that he had her body in that trunk, moving it with him.
an inquiry into the whereabouts of missing girls had blossomed into a full hunt for a murderer. The premises at 26 Maitland Street, Brighton, were given a thorough going over. Detective Shaw reported...
Nothing, sir. Not a trace of anything except that trunk and the body.
To which Inspector Church replied...
Very well. I'll give the same treatment to 35 Park Row.
There, the young detective reported...
In the backyard, sir, in a pile of junk, we found a hammerhead. It's been given to pathology, Inspector. There are stains on it. They might be blood, sir.
And, as Inspector Church said to his deputy, Inspector Cross, some 48 hours later...
Pathology report, Cross. That hammerhead did the job. The stains of blood and the type conform.
Good enough, sir.
Not quite. Good enough. The handle is gone. There's no proof who used the hammer. And pathology also reports that the autopsy shows enough morphine in the Baker woman's body to establish unconsciousness before death, if not death itself.
Any record of dope handling in Marston dossier, sir?
Nope. We haven't been able to tie him into that yet. Well, we'll see after we find the gentleman in question. Meanwhile, have them get me Brighton on the wire. I have a routine job for Detective Shaw. Too many loose ends in this one.
The call was made to Detective Shaw in Brighton. Armed with a postcard, a file number, and a hand-lettered menu, Detective Shaw invaded a certain telegraph office in Brighton.
Yes, sir. Always glad to cooperate with the police, sir.
Can you find me the original of this wire?
I think so, sir. Just a moment, please. This is it, I assume, sir. It has the same file number.
Yes, that's it. Going abroad, good job. Thank you very much. Now, if you'll just let me compare the writing on the blank with these samples I have with me.
Detective Shaw noted his comparisons and went to the telephone. A few moments later, he put a call through to Inspector Church at the yard.
Go ahead, Shaw. What have you got?
They had the original, sir. I compared it with the postcard with the Baker woman's writing on it. I'm no expert, sir, but it's obvious the two writings are absolutely different.
That's that, then.
I had a specimen of Marsden's writing, too, sir.
Where did you get that?
From a restaurant where the man worked for a while as a waiter. The menus there are handwritten. It was part of his job to write them out.
Good man.
There's no question about it, sir. Marsden wrote that wire and signed the Baker woman's name to it.
Another link in the chain rapidly forging itself around Jamie Marsden. But still, no Jamie Marsden.
Every policeman in England's carrying the man's picture and descriptions up.
How long is it going to take to bring the picture and the man together?
Not too long, Inspector. In fact, within 24 hours.
Here, you. Just a minute. You want me, Constable? Stand over there, in the street light. Very well. No weapons. Now, why should I be carrying a weapon, Constable? I'm just an ordinary citizen. Let's have a close look at you. Yes, I'm sure of it. You'll have to come along to the station house. You're being taken in charge. What for? You're Jamie Marsden, unless I miss my guess by a mile. Don't you know there's an all stations broadcast out for you? You're the most wanted man in England this minute.
That was in Manchester. Very shortly thereafter, Jamie Marsden faced Inspector Church and Deputy Inspector Cross in their office at the yard.
All right, Marsden, let's hear it. All of it.
I didn't kill her, Inspector. I didn't kill her.
But you knew she was dead.
Well, if you mean, did I put her in the trunk? I did.
But you didn't kill her.
No, sir. You've got to believe that.
Apparently you seem to understand that it's somewhat difficult to believe.
Well, that was the whole thing from the beginning.
All right. Let's go back to the beginning.
Well, me and Daisy got together down in Brighton about a year ago.
How?
Oh, she was dancing in a coot show and I was barking a booth a little way up the sidewalk. Well, sort of got into the habit of meeting her after closing time. Then, well, we reckoned that two can live as cheaply as one, so, well, we put in together and started housekeeping.
Were you pushing any of the stuff her way?
I didn't know she was on the stuff. No, not for months. Inspector, you've got to believe it.
Yes, it seems that a lot of things we've got to believe.
You heard, Cross, Marsden. I'm, shall I say, skeptical, too. Keep talking.
I'm honest with you, sir, I am.
Keep talking.
Well, Daisy's sister came to visit. We didn't get along. If I'd have killed anyone, it'd have been that sister. What she came for except to be nasty and snoop, I don't know.
Back to the story, Marsden.
Yeah, all right, sir. Well, like I was saying, we got together and everything was fine. We had a couple of fights, but, nothing much. Then Daisy said as our sister was coming down again. I got real mad. I slammed the door.
You didn't slam Daisy.
I may have cuffed her a bit, sir. Nothing serious. Anyways, I went out, and I stayed out for a couple of hours. I come back, and the place was awful quiet, and I thought, well, maybe Daisy had gone out or taken a shot or two or something. I walked into the bedroom. That was at 35, where we had the 3 rooms.
You walked into the bedroom and let her have it, right, Marsden?
No, sir, wrong. She had it. Oh, it was awful, Inspector. She was real bashed up, she was.
Why didn't you call the police?
Me? With my record? Who'd have believed I didn't do it? You don't believe me now. I never killed nobody, just been put away for small things, but I got a record. Nobody would listen, I reckon, so I got real scared. I did the first thing that entered my head.
Which was, Marsden?
I got an old trunk and I stuffed her in it, and then I took the sheets and all down to the cellar and I stuffed them in the furnace. Well, the rest you know, Inspector, and that's the truth, so help me.
What did you do with the hammer, Marsden?
Hammer? Oh, what hammer, Inspector?
The one you bashed her with, Marsden, the hammer that killed her.
I don't know about no hammer. I didn't kill her nor nobody. I didn't kill her, Inspector, and that's the truth.
They worked on Jamie Marsden for 3 days. They tried every trick, every question they could think of, but no one could shake his denial. Jamie Marsden insisted he had not killed Daisy Baker, and that was that. Weary and exhausted, Chief Inspector Church faced his deputy.
You know, Cross, I am almost beginning to believe Marsden myself. If he did kill her, it's completely out of the pattern. His kind of criminal almost never kills.
I know, but somebody killed her. Even granting Marsden's story, somebody killed her.
Well, then, where do we go from here, sir?
Where would you doubt there were or had been other men in this woman's life?
Have you any doubt about it, sir?
Do you suppose the sister would have any ideas?
Well, it's a place to start in any case.
Check. Then let's get on with it, Cross, and ask the Brighton police to work in that angle.
The sister, Ruth Crandall, placed to start on a new angle at any rate. The 2 CID men paid their second visit to Mrs. Crandall.
I suppose, Inspector, you've come to ask me to testify at Marsden's trial. Nasty little man.
As a matter of fact, we haven't. We don't have enough evidence yet to send Marsden to trial. We're booked on suspicion, that's all.
Not enough evidence? Oh, hardly seems possible. The papers were full of it.
The newspapers aren't the police, ma'am.
Of course not, Mr. Cross. But after all, he did keep my sister's body with him. He did run away.
I know, Mrs. Crandall, but there's been no weapon that relates to Marsden.
No weapon? The hammer's head? Well, after all, that's a weapon.
Did you say a
Mrs.
hammer, ma'am?
Crandall, we came here to ask you about another man in your sister's life. Have you any ideas?
I know this much, Inspector, that my sister was no better than her reputation. Heaven knows I tried. All my life I tried. When my husband died, I offered her a home even. No, she persisted in the disgraceful kind of life she was leading. She even boasted to me once that she liked it. As for knowing the kind of men she went around with, really, Inspector, you've seen how I live. How would I know anything about things like that?
I see. Well, Mrs. Crandall, if you think of anything which may be of help, we'll appreciate your letting us know.
2 men with a purpose left the neat suburban residence of Daisy Baker's sister. Shortly after their return to Scotland Yard, the teletypes, the telephones were all busy. Reports were swift in coming in.
Here's word from the hardware store, sir. A hammer was bought.
The janitor at 35 Park Road did see someone that day.
They found a taxi driver in Brighton who remembers.
One of the neighbours places the date exactly. Says she remembers the house was empty because a little boy was ill and she wanted to borrow something.
Here's the final touch. Local bus driver remembers the trip from out there to the railroad station.
The final touch. And once again, 2 men from the CID went visiting.
We've traced your movements all that day, Mrs. Crandall. Your neighbour remembers your house was shut up. The bus driver remembers how you asked if you'd reach the station on time. A taxi driver in Brighton remembers taking you to 35 Park Row. The janitor saw you there. And the hardware dealer right round the corner from here has a record of his sale of a hammer. To you.
You shouldn't have mentioned that hammer, Mrs. Crandall. We never told the newspapers about finding it in the backyard at Brighton.
I was right. She wasn't fit to live. Everyone pitied me on account of my sister. They looked down on me. I never felt better in my life than when I hit her, and then broke the handle off the hammer and burned it in that furnace at that awful house. If only I'd been a little more careful. Then you'd have to have tried that Marsden fellow. You'd have to have hung him.
Perhaps. Now then, Mrs. Crandall, are you ready to come quietly?
And today, that hammerhead can be seen here in the Black Museum.
Orson Welles will be back with you in just a moment. Now here in person is Orson Welles.
In due course, Henrietta Crandall paid the usual penalty for premeditated homicide. The purchase of the hammer was sufficient evidence of the intent to kill. As for Jamie Marsden, product of the London slums of bad company and evil ways, Jamie went free. But not for long. 6 months had barely passed before Marsden was picked up for possession of a deadly weapon and sentenced to serve 90 days for simple theft. And as for the hammerhead, well, here it is, in its usual place, in the Black Museum. So until next time, till another story about this same place, I remain as always, obediently yours.
Mysterious traveler. This is the Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and the terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, and it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back. Get a good grip on your nerves and be comfortable. If you can. Where are we going? Well, we're going to join Walter Cabot as he takes a little excursion into crime. I call the story Murder Goes Free. Late one foggy evening several years ago, as I was walking along one of the main streets of a large city, I was stopped by an elderly man who seemed unusually agitated.
Pardon me, sir. May I speak with you for a moment?
Of course. Here, perhaps this will help.
Oh, please. It isn't money I want. I just want someone to listen to me. No one is interested in seeing justice done. No one.
Well, I should be glad to hear what you have to say.
You will listen to my story?
Yes.
I want to confess something that's on my conscience. I've confessed 100 times, 1,000 times. Yet no one will believe me. You must help me make them believe. It all began that day in my office when Martin, my son, came in to see me.
Hello, Dad. How are you?
Oh, Martin. I'm glad you're here. I want to talk to you.
Oh? Sounds as if I've done something you don't approve of, Dad.
Did you read the gossip column in this morning's Daily Ledger?
Oh, that.
Why haven't you told me about this woman, Diana Winters?
Well, I'm sorry, Dad. I just didn't think it was important.
You've always told me about your other friends. Are you ashamed of Diana Winters?
No, of course not. Why should I be?
Martin, you know as well as I do that her reputation is, well, spectacular, to put it kindly.
The stories about her all lies.
I'm not taken in by gossip, Martin. I happen to know that this Winters woman is just plain no good.
Dad, I won't have you talking about her like that.
Martin, you don't love this woman, do you?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Martin, you must give her up.
Dad, I'm old enough to make my own decision.
Can't you see what she's doing to you? She's just a predatory gold-digging...
Stop talking about her like that.
All right, son. That's the way you feel about it. You'd better go.
All right. Goodbye, Dad.
Oh, Martin. My son. Oh, perhaps that's... Come in. Oh, it's you, Norman.
Hello, Walter. What's the matter with Martin? Just past him in the reception room. He appeared to be quite upset.
We've had a quarrel.
Oh?
It's the first one we've ever had.
Was it about that bit of gossip in this morning's Daily Ledger?
Yes. Imagine Martin's name linked with that of a...
Martin will be all right. He'll get over it.
No, he won't. I can't stand by and watch him ruin his life. I've got to do something.
I wouldn't if I were you, Walter.
You gotta let Martin make his own decisions. He's no child.
Oh, you're a fool, Norman. You expect me to watch the only person who means anything to me get hurt?
No, I suppose you won't. What are you going to do?
I'm going to have a talk with that woman, Diana Winters.
Hello.
Oh, good evening. Are you Miss Winters?
Yes. Won't you come in?
Thank you. My name is Walter Cabot.
Walter Cabot. I see.
Can I have a word in private with you?
Really, I have guests.
It will only take a few minutes.
Well, all right. Come this way.
Thank you.
No bother us in here.
I hardly know how to begin, Miss Winters.
And let's be frank, Mr. Cabot, and save ourselves time. You've come here to ask me to give up your son, haven't you?
Yes.
Well, then you may as well know that you're wasting your time. I love Martin, and I won't give him up.
I know better. Since we're being so frank, I'll get to the point. How much do you want to let Martin go?
Are you insinuating that I
Oh,
just
now,
want...
come, Miss Winters. There's no need to put on an act for me. How much?
Really, Mr. Cabot, you know, you're far more interesting than your son. Shall we say, 100,000?
100,000?
Yes, 100,000. If you love your son, surely he's worth it.
I haven't anything like that amount of money.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you believe for a moment that Martin has any money?
Oh, no. But he will inherit $250,000 from his mother's estate in a few months.
Oh, so you know about that?
Hmm.
Yes, of course. What other reason would you have for leading Martin on?
None that I can think of.
What if I were to tell Martin of our conversation?
He wouldn't believe you.
You can't do this to him.
I'm afraid I must be getting back to my guest, Mr. Cabot.
Now, wait, please. Please listen to me. Martin is everything I have. If I had the money, I'd gladly give it to you. But I haven't it.
Oh, sorry.
Women like you don't deserve to live.
Will you please leave at once?
If you don't give Martin up, I'll kill you.
Oh, get out, do you hear? I'll have my friend throw you out.
I'm warning you. Stay away from Martin, or I'll kill you. Come in.
Dad, Diana told me you tried to bribe her to give me up. Is that true?
Yes, Martin, it is.
You did that after I told you I loved her?
Yes, because I know she doesn't love you.
And why weren't you able to buy her off?
Because she wanted $100,000.
You're lying. She never asked you for 1 cent.
Have you ever known me to lie to you?
Dad, I told you I was fully capable of making my own decisions, and I meant it. An hour ago, I asked Diana to marry me, and she accepted.
You're going to marry her?
Yes. Just a few days.
So you're going to ruin your life for a cheap gold digger?
Dad, I told you not to speak about it like that. If you feel differently, Diane and I will be happy to see you. Get out.
Get out, do you hear?
All right, I will.
After all these years, and everything I've tried to do for him.
Well, Walter, were you able to do anything?
No. I'm not going to let him ruin his life, do you hear?
But what can you do?
If there's no bride, there can be no wedding.
If there's no bride? Walter, you don't mean you...
Why not? Can you think of anyone who deserves less to live?
You're mad.
For years, my hobby has been the study of famous murders. I've studied hundreds of cases closely. In each case, I was able to pick out the flaw that prevented it from being a perfect crime. And then one day, I began to work out a perfect crime for myself.
Walter, what are you saying?
I was merely doing it for fun, just as some men do crossword puzzles. But, Norman, I did hit upon a way to commit a perfect murder. And now I have a motive.
You must stop talking like that, Walter. There's no such thing as a perfect crime.
You're wrong, Norman. And I'm going to prove it.
Walter, can't you see that what you want to do is insane? It's far better that Martin marry that woman than for you to become a murderer.
No. If Martin were to marry that woman, it would be the end for both of us. At least this way I can be certain that his life won't be ruined. And that's all that counts. As for the police, Norman, they'll never catch me. Never.
Pardon me, sir. Can you tell me the name of this horrible place?
There ain't nothing horrible about Valley Springs, stranger. 1,242 people think it's Mighty Fine Village.
I've never seen an uglier place. What do people live here for?
Been drinking, haven't you? Well, I'm warning you, mister. You'd better stop insulting this village, or I'll run you in. I'm the village council.
Oh, so you're going to get rough, eh? Well, take this.
Hey, I'll learn you to push the law around. You're under arrest for drunkenness and disorderly conduct. You and me are going to see George Hutchins, Justice of the Peace. Now, Goody, half a dozen times, Your Honor. He attempted to attack me. And that's when I arrested him.
Did right, Pete. What you got to say to the charges, Mr. What's your name?
I'm not gonna tell it.
He sure had a jug full, Your Honor.
Charge is drunkenness, disorderly conduct. How do you plead, stranger?
Gilly, Your Honor, Gilly.
Well, stranger, seeing you missed your glove, I'll only fine you $20.
Well, if I don't want to pay?
Well, I'm afraid in that case you just spend the night in cash.
I won't be intimidated. I'm not going to pay my fine, and you can't make me.
Oh, dear. Pete, looks like you'll have to lock him up tonight. Take him away.
Well, stranger, now you can see what the inside of our jail looks like.
Good.
It still ain't too late to pay your fine. Don't you want to pay it and sleep in a nice, soft bed?
No, I like it here. Which of the two cells is mine?
Well, you take the one on the right, and I'll sleep in the other. I got to guard you. Go ahead, get in so I can lock the door.
Just as you say, Constable.
Now, I don't want to hear anything out here till morning. I'll have enough trouble sleeping in here without you bothering me.
I'll be so quiet, Constable, you won't even know I'm here. We dream. Place would be perfect for my plan. Now, if only the door doesn't creak as I open it. Softly, softly. Oh, he's waking up. No. He's going back to sleep. There, I'm out. Now to get to the car and drive to the city for the most important part of the plan.
Who's there?
Perhaps if I turn on the lights, Miss Winters.
You?
Yes, Martin's father.
What do you mean by breaking into my apartment? What do you want?
What do I want? You remember what I said to you the other night?
Oh, what you said? No,
I'll refresh your memory. I said I'd kill you if you didn't give Martin up.
You wouldn't dare.
Oh, but I would.
Oh, my friend said you threatened me. You get the chair.
I don't think I will, Miss Winters.
Why are you looking at me like that? You're just trying to frighten me, aren't you?
I tried to reason with you, but you wouldn't listen. You should have.
No, you can't kill me. Stay away from me. Stay away from me, do you hear?
It's no use trying the door. I locked it when I came in, and I have the key.
Please listen to me. I'll do anything you want. I'll give Martin up. I'll go away.
You had your chance. You didn't take it.
No. Don't keep away. Don't touch me. I'm free! There. I'll just turn her wristwatch back to 12 and stop it. The exact time I was being arrested in Valley Spring, and my son is free. Free! Hey, Constable. Constable, wake up. I want another drink. Wake up, will you? Wake up.
What's all this noise about? Oh, my back. Hey, what's the idea waking me up? Why, it ain't even dawn yet.
I want another drink, and I'll take it straight.
Oh, go to sleep, you hear? It is 4 o'clock, and you ain't getting out of here till late in the morning. You got 4 hours yet. And I don't want to hear any more out of you. Oh.
Just so, Constable. Anything to oblige a gentleman. 4 hours more. Good. Now I've established the fact that the constable spoke to me at 4 o'clock in the morning in my cell, and that I was very drunk. Oh, the perfect crime. Everything's worked out exactly as I planned. The police will never be able to prove a thing. In a few months, the murder will just be a thing of the past. And Martin and I will once more be as close as ever.
Come in? Oh, hello, Kelly. Well, how's the DA's office this morning?
Well, so I finally caught up with you.
My partner told me a few minutes ago that you've been looking for me.
Looking for you? That's putting it mildly. There's been a 5-state alarm out for you for the past 24 hours.
What?
Where have you been the last few days?
I've been vacationing at a small resort 100 miles upstate.
Kind of sudden vacation, wasn't it? Huh? Even your partner didn't know where you were.
Well, I went there on the spur of the moment.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yes.
And where were you on the night of the 22nd? The night Diana Winters was murdered.
Say, I read about that, Kelly. That's rather unusual.
Stop stalling. Where were you?
Frankly, Kelly, I don't recall where I was that night. I'm afraid I was a little drunk.
You're going to have to do better than that for the DA.
Oh? Well, I'm afraid I won't be able to. I really can't remember where I was that night.
Cabot, I think you're going to wind up in a place you're not going to like. In the chair. Get your hat. We're going down to headquarters.
That sounds serious. Well, look, do you mind if I speak to my partner and explain matters to him?
That won't be necessary. You'll be able to read all about it in the papers. And believe me, it isn't going to make pleasant reading.
A dozen witnesses have testified that the defendant, Walter Cabot, threatened to kill Diana Winters. And how has the defense replied to the charges of the state? It hasn't. Can we accept the flimsy story of the defendant? That he was drunk the night of the murder and hasn't any recollection of his actions? Perhaps Walter Cabot doesn't know where he was that night, but I do. He was in the apartment of Diana Winters, where he cold-bloodedly strangled her as he vowed to do before a dozen witnesses. There is only one verdict you can render. Guilty of murder in the first degree. The state rests, Your Honor.
Since you've insisted on defending yourself, are you ready for the defense's summation, Mr. Cabot?
Your Honor, I've often observed the strange twists of fate by which a man is saved or condemned. My inability to recall any of my actions on the night of the 22nd left me without a defense. Yesterday, frankly, I regarded my case as being hopeless. Today, however, through a twist of fate, I have received a new lease on life. I'm now prepared to prove my whereabouts on the night in question. I should like to call upon a witness for the defense.
You'll have the court's permission.
Thank you, Your Honor. I wish to call Peter Wilk to the stand.
Peter Wilk to the stand.
Here I am.
Raise your right hand, please. You solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, have you, God?
I do.
State your name and occupation, please.
Peter Wilk. I'm constable for the village of Valley Springs.
Mr. Wilk, will you tell the jury exactly what you told me this morning?
Well, yesterday, George Hutchins, he's our justice of the peace, and myself were looking at a city newspaper. And in it we see a picture of a man, Mr. Cabot, right on the front page. It says he's being tried for a murder committed on the night of January 22nd. Well, George and me recognizes him right away as the fellow we locked up in our jail that night on a drunken and disorderly charge.
Extra reading in papers. Walter Cabot acquitted. Read all about it. Read all about it.
Martin.
Hello, Dad.
How are you, son? Oh, it's good to see you again after all these months.
Oh, Dad,
Can you ever forgive me for having run away when you needed me?
Forgive you? There's nothing to forgive, son.
Dad, I know now how right you were about Diana.
Oh, you don't know how happy it makes me to hear you say that, son. I've been through a great deal lately, but it doesn't matter now that I have you back.
Oh, Dad, I'm glad to be back. I promise you I'll never let you down again.
Oh, hello, Kelly. Come in, have a seat. It's been quite some time since I've seen you.
Yes.
Last time you were here, you put the cuffs on me for the Winters murder.
Well, mistakes will happen.
Anything on your mind, Kelly?
No, nothing special. Just friendly call.
Oh. Well, thanks for dropping in, Kelly.
Oh, by the way, have you seen the latest edition?
I know. Anything of interest happen?
Yeah, you might find it interesting. It could mean a client for you.
Oh, really? What's happened?
Well, here's the late paper. Read it for yourself.
Oh, thanks. New suspect held for Winters' murder. Oh, no. Oh, it can't be.
Why not? If you didn't kill Diana Winters, someone did. And we got that someone down at headquarters.
But you must be mistaken. What evidence have you got?
Evidence?
Yes.
Oh, well, we can prove the guy we've got was at Diana Winters' apartment that night.
What's that?
But he was seen leaving just after midnight, after a whale of a quarrel with her.
Quarrel? What about?
Oh, usual thing. We both know what Diana was. Two-timing gold digger.
Yes, of course.
She had plenty other boyfriends when your son. Only none of them knew about the others. But that night, the guy who killed her found out a few things about her and bumped her off.
No. I don't believe it.
I told you he left right after midnight, didn't I?
That's right.
Well, her watch was found on the floor where she dropped it during that fatal struggle. Stopped just at 12. And that watch is going to hang the guy. We may have been wrong in your case, but this time we have the right man, and we'll make it stick, even though the evidence is circumstantial. Well, I'd better be running along. Good night.
Good night.
Keep the paper. You might want to read the whole story.
New suspect held for Winters' murder. District Attorney uncovers apparently conclusive evidence of guilt. That can't be. I had it planned perfectly so that no one could be held for it.
There's no such thing as a perfect crime, Walter. The murderer always overlooks something.
No such thing as the perfect crime. Murderer always overlooks something. Norman said that. But I knew better. And now an innocent man has been arrested for my crime. Whoever he is, he's innocent. I must save him. Yes. I can't let him die.
Gentlemen of the jury, you have reached a verdict. You have found the defendant guilty of murder in the first degree. Silence in the courtroom.
No, it can't be. You're wrong.
Silence in the courtroom. I'll have it cleared. Mr. Cabot, you'll kindly refrain from such outbursts.
But, Your Honor, I protest. The evidence submitted by the state was purely circumstantial. There was no real...
May I remind Mr. Cabot that this case may be appealed. Our attorney is quite uncalled for.
But the prisoner is innocent, Your Honor. You haven't any right to...
Another such outburst, Mr. Cabot, and I'll hold you for contempt of court.
Your Honor, the defendant was convicted on purely circumstantial evidence. But I have positive proof of his innocence.
Why did you wait until after the jury rendered a verdict to make this statement?
I hoped, Your Honor, that the defendant would be acquitted and I wouldn't have to reveal my proof of his innocence, but I would like to do so now.
Yeah, this is highly irregular, Mr. Cabot. But since the jury has already rendered its verdict and cannot be influenced, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I know for a certainty that the defendant is not guilty of the murder of Diana Winters. For it was I who committed the crime.
In the courtroom. Mr. Cabot, you say you confessed the murder of Diana Winters?
Yes, Your Honor. I and I alone am responsible for her death. You must believe me.
Mr. Cabot, only 3 months ago you were acquitted of the murder of Diana Winters. You well know that a man may be tried only once for a crime. This confession now can do you no harm. The court sees your confession as being motivated only by your desire to see the defendant go free.
No, Your Honor, that isn't true. I did murder Diana Winters. Then I broke my watch, and I set it back to 12 o'clock. You must believe me, you must.
Bailiff, have Mr. Cabot escorted from this courtroom. Prisoner will remain in his cell.
No, wait, Your Honor. Listen to me. He isn't guilty. I am. I'm the one. That day in court, I confessed 1,000 times, and yet no one will believe me. No one. But you, sir, you will help me, won't you? We can't let an innocent man die for a murder I committed.
No, of course not. But I hardly see how
Every minute that passes brings him closer to the end. We must save him. We must. If you only help
Hello,
me.
Cabot.
Oh, Kelly, I was just telling this gentleman here my story. We can't let an innocent man go to the electric chair. Kelly, you're a smart man. You believe I murdered Diana Winters, don't you?
Yes, I do.
You do? Then you'll help me save him?
People wouldn't believe me any more than they do you.
But they would, Kelly, they would.
Why should they believe your story? You can't be tried again for the murder of Diana Winters. And what man in your position wouldn't confess to save his own son?
But he's innocent, Kelly. Martin, my son is innocent. He was convicted only because he was near her apartment that night. And now there's so little time to do anything. The execution is set for midnight, and it's almost... It's 12 already. No.
I'm sorry, Cabot. He's so wretched.
My son.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our little trip? Too bad about poor Walter Cabot, wasn't it? Such a brilliant man. But his own intrigue sent the one person he loved to the electric chair. As the city hall clock tolled midnight, Walter Cabot must have heard his partner's warning. There is no such thing as a perfect crime. The murderer always overlooks something. So, if by any chance you're contemplating murder, I suggest that you stop and think it over. Perhaps you'll find to your sorrow that you think, oh, you're getting off here, I'm sorry. But perhaps we'll meet again soon.
You have just heard Chapter 67, the final chapter of this series of The Mysterious Traveler, Tales of the Strange and Terrifying. In tonight's story, Murder Goes Free, Ed Latimer played Walter Cabot, Tony Barrett played Martin, and Irene Winston played Diana. The Mysterious Traveler is written by Bob Arthur and David Cogan, and original music is played by Henry Silverne. The entire production is under the direction of Jock McGregor. Mysterious Traveler is presented from our New York studios. This concludes the present series of The Mysterious Traveler. Next Saturday evening at 9:30 Eastern Wartime over most of these stations, Mutual will present a new program, radio's first nationwide audience participation mystery series. It's called Calling All Detectives. We invite you to be with us for Calling All Detectives next Saturday night at 9:30 Eastern Wartime. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Dr. Weird.
Good evening. Come in, won't you? Well, what's the matter? You seem a bit nervous. Perhaps the cemetery outside this house has upset you. But there are things far worse than cemeteries. For instance, A criminal with murder in his heart. As in my story tonight, which I call Picture of a Killer. My story, Picture of a Killer, begins in the business district of a large city. Two men, Duke Farson and Lefty Williams, are driving slowly along one of the main streets. Both men are tense, watchful. Suddenly, Duke speaks.
Slow down, Lefty. I see a parking spot right near the bank.
Okay, Duke. But I tell you, I still don't like this job.
Stop worrying, will you? We can't miss. Now, look. Just keep the motor running for a fast getaway. I'll take care of the rest.
Okay, Duke. Good luck.
Pardon me, mister. Can I have your picture taken?
No, buddy, I wouldn't.
I take a nice picture. It'll only cost...
I don't want my picture taken. Never had a picture taken in my life. I'm not starting now. Now beat it.
Sure. Maybe some other time.
That's all I need. Have my picture taken. Comes the payroll clerk now. Pardon me, Bud. Have you got a match?
Why, no. Why?
Don't move and make a sound. This is a gun I got in my pocket.
Hold up.
Yeah. Now hand me that bag you're carrying.
I can't. It's locked.
Yeah, but you got the key to unlock it. Fork it over and make it fast.
All right, but just don't shoot. I've got the key in this...
Oh, try to pull a gun on me. Maybe that'll teach you.
Duke, what happened?
Stop talking and get going.
Duke, how long are we going to stay cooped up in this apartment? It's dark now. Let's slam out of town before the cops get us.
Relax, will you? I said we'd leave town until the heat's off, didn't I? Now pick up your hat and coat. We'll be on our way.
And now you're talking.
All right, you ready?
Yeah, just lead the way.
Stop looking so nervous, will you? Relax. They can't prove a thing against us. We got nothing to worry about.
We've got you covered.
O'Hara.
Yeah, O'Hara. Get the gun, Schwartz.
Hey, what's the idea, O'Hara? You haven't got a thing on us.
Oh, no? You're both under arrest for the attempted murder of that payroll clerk this morning.
Attempted murder?
Yeah, by a miracle, the guy's still alive.
Now, look, O'Hara, we got witnesses. They'll testify we were nowhere near the place where that payroll clerk got his.
Yeah. We got an alibi you can't break.
I can't, huh? Take a look at this photograph.
Duke, look.
Huh?
It's a picture of you plugging a payroll clerk.
No.
Yes, Duke. The camera doesn't lie. Street photographer, George Parker's his name, snapped this picture just as you shot the payroll clerk. And unless I miss my guess, this picture's going to send you up the river for a long, long stretch.
Dr. Weir, don't you ever leave this dreary house and visit your friends?
Why, of course. And when I do, I always dress meticulously. My pocket revolver is nicely polished. I carefully sharpen my sword cane. And as for my bulletproof vest...
Enough, Doctor. I can see you dress in style. But I think the men in our audience are interested in a little different kind of style. The kind you get in Adam hats. Fashioned in distinctive shapes, in a variety of brisk-looking shades, Adam hats are the sort of hats people admire. And that's why so many famous radio, stage, and screen personalities who need to look their best every moment of the day and evening choose Adam. They know they'll be able to choose from a full selection of correctly styled hats at Adam Hat stores. Follow their discriminating example. Stop in at your nearest Adam Hat store or authorized dealer. There are thousands, coast to coast, and look over the current line of smartly fashioned Adam hats. Prices $3.45 to $10. And now, back to our story in the Dr. Weird style.
And now I'll continue my story, Picture of a Killer. Duke Farson and Lefty Williams, their alibi broken by the picture that George Parker, the photographer, had snapped at the scene of the crime, was sentenced to 20 years for the attempted murder of the payroll clerk. 5 years passed. 5 years in which Duke's hatred for George Parker grew into something that was almost insanity. Then one day, while they were at work in the prison yard, Duke hunted up his pal, Lefty, and said in a low, tense voice,
Everything's all set, Lefty. We're lambing out here tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, huh?
Yeah. Once we get over the wall, there'll be a car waiting for us. In it, we'll find a couple of rods, some clothes, and some dough.
That's great, Duke. Then we'll head for Mexico, huh?
Yeah, we'll head for Mexico. But first, there's someone we got a call on.
Who's that?
The guy that put us here, George Parker.
If it hadn't been for him and his camera... Yeah. So help me, if it's the last thing I do, I'm going to get that guy. I'll teach him to take pictures of me.
Duke, listen. Them cops are tearing this town apart to find us.
As long as we stick to this back alley, they won't spot us. Just another block to that picture shop that Parker owns.
Duke, we can't afford to waste time on Parker. Come on. Let's get back to the car and head for Mexico.
We aren't going anyplace until I've taken care of Parker, do you hear? For 5 years, I'd waited to get even with him, and nothing is going to stop me.
Oh, listen, Duke. I hate Parker as much as you do. But this ain't the time to knock him off. I'm going back to where we left the car, and I'm heading for Mexico.
It's not healthy to talk like that, Lefty. You know what happens to guys who cross me up. Now, come on. It's not much further to Parker's shop.
Nothing doing. This is where you and me part company.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah. I'm going back to the...
Okay, Lefty. We'll part company, but my way. And this is... So long, Lefty.
Good evening. Can I help you?
Yeah, I'd like to have my picture taken.
Oh, fine. Well, now, if you just come this way, please.
Yeah, sure. Nice little shop you got here.
Oh, thank you. Now, if you just sit in this chair while I adjust the light.
Yeah, sure. Hey, those lights are kind of strong.
Oh, you're right. We'll get used to them in a moment. Now, will you just look this way, please?
Yeah.
There, I think the lighting's all right now. That's it. Now, just hold that pose until I focus the camera.
You know, the last time you took my picture, you didn't have all this fancy equipment.
Oh, I've taken your picture before, haven't I?
Yeah, don't you remember me?
No, I'm sorry, but I don't. Now, I'm ready. Smile, please.
Wait a minute.
What?
Would you mind letting go of that bulb? That's it. You're sure you haven't taken my picture yet?
Why, no. No, I was just about to when you told me to wait.
That's fine. Now step away from that camera a bit. That's it.
But I don't understand. Is anything wrong?
No. Everything's fine. Just that I've changed my mind. I don't want my picture taken.
You don't want it taken?
No. The one you took of me 5 years ago was the first I ever had taken. It's going to be the last.
The one I took of you 5 years ago?
Yeah. You were a street photographer then.
Oh.
You took it outside the Third National Bank while I was sticking up the payroll.
Parson. Duke Parson.
Yeah. Didn't recognize me, did you?
No.
5 years behind bars changes a man, don't it, huh? Don't move. I got you covered.
What are you going to do?
What do you think? Hadn't been for you and that camera of yours, it never have got me. I'd never have gone up the river.
No, Parson, don't shoot. Please don't
I used
shoot.
to lie awake in my cell night after night, dreaming of this moment. A moment when my finger would tighten on the trigger of a gun. Again and again and again.
Duke Farson, a smile on his lips, got up, stepped over George Parker's body, and quickly walked out of the shop. A few minutes later, Duke suddenly stopped. A block away, the police were swarming around his getaway car. Cursing his luck, Duke hurriedly retreated. As dawn approached, he broke into an empty house where he decided to hide and rest until it should be dark again. Exhausted, he had little trouble falling asleep.
Come on, Duke, wake up. Wait. Go.
What's wrong? What? O'Hara.
Yeah, O'Hara. Don't try anything, Duke. We got you covered. Schwartz, get his gun.
I haven't got one.
That's right, O'Hara. He has it. Pretty smart of you, Duke, getting rid of that gun.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't, huh?
No.
I suppose you're going to tell me that you didn't murder George Parker last night.
No, I didn't. You can't prove I did.
But I can, Duke.
Who do you think you're kidding? I suppose you got a witness, huh?
Yes, Duke, I have. Take a look at this photograph.
No, that can't be.
But it is, Duke. It's a picture taken of you as you shot and killed George Parker.
But there wasn't anybody there to take my picture. Parker and I were alone. He was no place near the camera. He couldn't have taken it.
He didn't take the picture, Duke. Death took it.
Death took it?
What are you talking about? You fired 4 shots at Parker, Duke. Your hand must have been shaking. You hated him so much. One of the bullets went wild and hit the shutter mechanism of the camera, causing a picture to be snapped, just as you were committing murder.
You mean one of those slugs hit the camera? Made it take my picture?
Yes, Duke. And you're going to find that it was the most expensive picture ever taken of anybody. Because this picture is going to cost you your life.
And sure enough, O'Hara was right. For 6 months later, Duke Farson was hanged for the murder of George Parker. A crime he could never have been convicted of if it hadn't been for Exhibit A, a photograph snapped at the scene of the crime by a stray bullet. A bullet that Duke Farson himself had fired. Ah, well, they say that justice has a strange way of working itself out. It certainly seems so in Duke's case. Now I remember another case where... Oh, you have to go now. Too bad. But perhaps you'll drop in on me again soon. I'm always home. Just look for the house on the other side of the cemetery. The house of Dr. Weir.
Autolite and its 98,000 dealers bring you Mr. Herbert Marshall in tonight's presentation of Suspense.
Tonight, Autolite presents a new radio adaptation of one of the most famous suspense stories ever written, Mary Godwin Shelley's Frankenstein. Our star, Mr. Herbert Marshall.
Hello there, Harlow. Well, mend my fences if it's not the senator. How's it look for you, Senator?
Going to cast your ballot tomorrow, Harlow?
Why, Senator, I'd no more forget to vote than forget to winterize my car. And now's the time to do it. Get the oil and grease changed, put in antifreeze, inspect the battery cable.
And check the spark plugs, too.
Right, Johnny Plug Check. The spark plugs are the very heart of your car's ignition system. And when they're right, your chances of starting, even in coldest weather, are better than ever.
Well, I'll visit my Autolite spark plug dealer, Harlow.
Do that, Senator, because he's the expert on cleaning and adjustment. And if replacements are needed, he'll recommend those world-famous ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, either standard or resistor type. To quickly learn the location of your nearest Autolite spark plug dealer, phone Western Union by number and ask for Operator 25. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite presents transcribed Frankenstein, starring Mr. Herbert Marshall, and hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
Victor.
Hello, Mary. The Reverend in?
Out in the garden as usual. Do you want me to call him?
No, thanks. I'll go out.
Well, all right. Tell him not to get too dirty. We're supposed to play croquet with the McDonald's at 5.
I'll tell him.
When's Elizabeth coming home?
Tomorrow or Tuesday, I think.
You'll both have to come over for dinner.
Love to Mary.
See you later.
Hi. Oh, you're just in time to give me a hand. Whew. Well, these Indian summers, hot, too sticky.
James, I got to talk to you.
Well, of course. What, anything wrong? You know, you haven't looked too good for the past month or so. Something on your mind?
Yes.
Oh, well, then. Well, let's go in the house. I'll get you a beer. We can talk.
No, not in the house. Do you mind if we walk?
Oh, of course not. Oh, wait a moment. My pipe over there. There we are. Might get some rain. Hope so. I won't have to play croquet. Asinine game.
James?
Oh, look now, we're friends. You know you can speak to me. What's the matter? One of your patients die? You made a mistake, perhaps?
No, nothing like that. Perhaps it's worse. I'm not sure.
Has it anything to do with Elizabeth going away?
In a way, yes.
Oh. My favorite place. You know, Victor, I think of most of my sermons standing here looking across the valley. Lovely, isn't it? Got a match? Oh, thanks.
Listen, I've been doing an experiment. It's very complicated. And I've almost finished.
Well, that's wonderful.
I think I'm a little afraid of it. I don't know. I've tried to think it out myself. I can't find the answer.
Go on.
You believe in God, don't you?
Oh.
I mean, because I don't go to church, you don't think that I don't believe, do you?
I don't think that at all. You're a good man.
I want you to promise me something. You've got to promise that you'll never breathe a word of what I'm about to tell you.
You have my word.
You swear?
I don't usually break my word.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look, I've made something. It's tremendous. It's impossible. But I think I've done it. And it goes against everything you believe, James.
Oh, what have you done?
I've made a thing.
Oh, I don't understand.
I put it together. Heart, brain, nerves, muscle, everything. I've done it. Now do you understand? A complete body.
And you're upset because of that? You think that you've done something wrong?
But
you're a surgeon. If what you've done will help to save a life, if you've learned more about the human body, this experiment can't be wrong. It can only do good. Oh, I shouldn't worry.
Last night, I made it move. I'm not certain, but I think I can give it life. Absolute life. Now do you see why I'm afraid? I've created a man.
I'd better call Mary. She'll be worried.
All right, but...
I won't say anything. Hello. Mary? No, I'm with Victor. Now, listen, dear, I'm afraid we'll have to put off the McDonald's. Yes, I know. Well, Mary, I have something very important to discuss with Victor. It can't wait. Yes, dear. No, don't wait supper. I'll have something over here. Yes, I will. Goodbye.
You don't have to see this thing if you don't want to, James.
What is it?
In my lab. I had an addition built on. I'm the only one who has a key.
I don't say I believe what you've told me, but how do you know you can make it live? I mean, is it anything more than galvanic action?
You'll see.
Why lock it?
I always do.
Oh. Is that the addition over there?
Yes.
Dark.
There aren't any windows. It's better that way. Before I show you, I want to explain. This is what started it. It was mostly an accident. One of the kids brought in his dog. It had been run over, killed. He wouldn't believe it was dead. Expected me to bring it back. I gave it a shot in the heart. And then another with this stuff. A compound I've fooled with for a long time.
Yes?
The dog came back to life. Just for a moment.
How do you know the dog was dead?
No, it was. It had been for 2 hours. All that happened 3 years ago.
You've been experimenting on things ever since?
Yes.
It's wrong.
I don't know.
No, it's wrong.
You're going to stay, James.
What are you going to do? Try to bring it to life?
I've got to. I've got to try.
Then why did you come to me?
I wanted to tell you. I had to tell someone you're my friend.
I'm a minister. I preach and believe in the Word of God.
Do you want to see it?
No. No, I don't, but I must.
It's not terrible to look at. I've done a pretty good job on it. But it isn't quite finished. I'm not quite done with the face. Well?
No, Victor. Bury it. Let it be at peace. Don't do it. Even if you can, and I can't imagine it possible, don't even try.
Do you realize what it would mean to me, to the world?
Standing here with you, looking at that, it's easy to imagine anything. I don't want to. Put it to rest, Victor. Forget it.
That's just it. I can't. Not until I find out, one way or the other. Watch.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to show you what happened last night.
I don't want to see. I don't care.
I know better.
Oh, listen to me, Victor. This mustn't go on. You've got to stop it.
Not yet. Not until I find out.
Does Elizabeth know what you're doing?
No.
Why did you send her away?
I didn't want her here when I made the last test.
Because you're ashamed. You know it's wrong. You know what she'd think.
I'm not ashamed. I think I'm a little frightened at the incredible greatness of what I've done. It's bigger than anything since the world began.
If it moves, if you prove your point to me, will you stop then? Will you destroy it? The formulas, whatever papers you have, destroy all of it, will you?
I don't know. Handle that hypodermic, will you?
No.
Really? There.
If I say I believe you, Victor, if...
You don't have to be afraid of it. It couldn't hurt you, you know. There's only enough of this stuff to stimulate a small portion of its brain.
I'm not afraid of it. I'm afraid for us all. I've never preached to you, Victor.
It moved its left foot last night. Then the right. I'm going to try the arm now. Move the light over, please. Thanks. Watch carefully. Only takes a few seconds. Now.
Look. It's hand.
I know. That's the way it was yesterday. The movement only lasts for a moment, though. That's all.
I don't know what to say. I don't even think I understand what I've seen, except that it's terrible.
Because you don't understand, or because of what it means?
I'm afraid, if you like. I'm afraid for you, for what you've done. That thing lying there, you've got no right. I won't allow... What's that?
What?
Listen.
Stethoscope. It's impossible. There wasn't enough.
It's breathing, Victor. What have you done? The thing's alive.
Autolite is bringing you Mr. Herbert Marshall in Frankenstein. Tonight's presentation in radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense.
Hello, who's this Johnny Plugchick who's always electioneering about spark plugs?
Why, Senator, Johnny is a helpful hinter fighting Old Man Winter. He's the blithe reminder to wise motorists that now's the time to visit your Autolite spark plug dealer to get ready for the cold driving days ahead. Change the oil and grease, put in antifreeze, inspect the battery cable.
And check those important spark plugs, too.
Because when your spark plugs are right, your chances of starting, even in coldest weather, are better than ever.
And if my Autolite spark plug dealer finds my spark plugs need replacing, hello?
Why, if they're worn out, he'll recommend a set of the world-famous ignition-engineered Autolite spark plugs, Senator, like the amazing Autolite resistor spark plug. It's one of the greatest advancements in spark plugs for automotive use in the past 20 years. When you have a set installed in your car, you'll get double spark plug life, smoother engine performance, and quick starts, as compared to spark plugs without a built-in resistor. So, friends, visit your Autolite spark plug dealer soon. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Mr. Herbert Marshall in Elliot Lewis's production of Frankenstein, a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
CC came yesterday, unless the drugs are cumulative. Maybe that's it.
His eyes are open. What are you going to do?
Now, listen to his heart again.
It's got to be destroyed. You've got to put an end to it. It's inhuman. Don't you see what you're doing? You can't give it a soul.
No.
You can't give it...
How do you know what I can give it? I've given it life, haven't I? It sees, it breathes, moves, perhaps hears. Yes. Does it hear? Look, did you see that? It blinked, the head jerked. It hears. It's aware of sound. Does it feel pain?
Don't, Victor. It's not an animal. You formed it like a man. Give it the dignity of one. I won't let you do that to it.
I've gone this far, James.
Put down the scalpel.
What are you going to prove by that?
I think you must be mad.
I don't interfere with your work, James. Why?
There's someone at the door.
Yes. I think I'd better strap it down on the table. You won't forget your promise, will you?
I'm sorry I gave my word. I'm sorry you ever told me about this. I feel I'm as guilty as you are now.
Well, whatever took you so long? Hello, James.
Hello.
Darling, I tried to call from the station, but the line's out of order.
Oh, I'm sorry, dear. Did you have a nice time?
Lovely. Everybody sends their love.
That's good.
What have you two been up to? How's Mary, James?
Oh, very well, thank you.
What a fine pair of sober-sides you are. What did you do, darling? Break one of my good dishes? I knew I shouldn't have left you alone. Well, what are we standing in the hall for? Let's go.
Elizabeth, I must be going. Mary will be wondering, particularly if the phone's out of order.
It's raining very hard.
No, I'll be all right.
You take an umbrella. There's one in the kitchen.
Are you going to tell her?
No.
You won't unstrap it from the table, will you?
Not yet.
All right, I'll try to come back later. I want to think.
About what?
You've changed since you came to see me this afternoon. You really don't care what I think now, do you?
I suppose not. Thanks anyway, James.
Are you going to let it live?
That's funny from you. Have I the right to kill it?
You've already done something you had no right to do. Something that you don't even understand. The creation of man isn't your job, it isn't mine. Oh, I know your bright scientific mind's laughing at me.
Here's the umbrella, James. But I wish you'd wait until the storm blows over.
No, I really must get back. Thank you, Elizabeth. I'll return it tomorrow. Goodbye.
Well, what's the matter with him? Have you been arguing religion again, Victor?
No, dear. Look, I'm doing a little work in the lab. It's rather important. Do you mind?
What is going on, Victor? There's something.
No, dear, nothing at all. There is...
I know there is. What's the matter?
Nothing, dear, really. I've got to get back to work now. Finish the face, though. It must be terribly strong. That's odd. It's not over average size. Now what? Can you understand what I say? Do you feel any pain? Are you hungry? I'm a man like you. You are a man. Do you understand? Here. This is a mirror. You can see yourself in it. Look. It's all right. It's all right. It's angry. Oh, it doesn't show anger in its face. There's emotion, though. It sees ugliness and is afraid. I'll have to get it back on the table and put it to sleep. That's the best way. Then use a stronger strap and a chain. The eyes just staring. They seem watery. What a marvel it is, though. I want you to come over here and sit down. Do you hear me? Come here and sit down. Come here. No, don't touch that. No, stop it. Stop it. Put it down. Questions. Just do what I ask. Get your coat on.
But why?
I'm taking you over to the Gibsons. I want you to stay there.
Oh, why? Why? What is it? Oh, Victor, please.
I can't tell you about it now. You may have to stay there all night. Hurry, please.
We've got to call the police.
No, they'll shoot it. I don't want that. It's just frightened, that's all.
Being a fool, Victor. Do you realize what it means? That thing roaming about the country? What about the children, everybody in the village? I'm going to get the police.
No, please, James. Give me a chance to find it first.
Then what? You do a few more experiments, give it speech, perhaps, and it happens again.
It's mine. I made it.
I'm not thinking of that now. It's Mary and your wife. We don't even know where it is. If it wants to kill, how do you know where it will start?
All right. Just give me an hour. Let me try to find it before we call the police. If I do, I'll take it back and destroy it myself.
Do you give me your word?
Yes.
All right. I'll go with you.
Thanks, James.
I'll get my rifle. Do you have a gun?
Yes. But I'm not going to use it unless it...
Yes, unless... That's why I'll take mine. Can be bought. It's getting dark. Where do you think it might have gone?
It's hard to tell. It's afraid of thunder. It might be hiding in the barn.
The old Hamilton place?
Yeah.
How are you going to capture it? Have you thought of that?
I brought along a hypodermic.
You're not afraid anymore, are you?
No.
That's strange, because I am. Not of what it might do to me, but because of the fact that I've seen it. I know it exists.
There's the barn. If it's in there's no way out the back way. It was boarded up, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'll go in. Wait out here, will you?
No, I'm coming with you.
No. If it's in there, if it tries to escape, shoot it as it comes out.
Don't take the chance. It won't let you get near.
I'm going to try. Thanks, James. I lied. I'm afraid. It's in here, hiding, waiting for me. I'm afraid. I should have destroyed it. James was right. What's the matter with this flashlight? Wet. That's better. What's that? In the corner. You. It's all right. I understand. I won't hurt you. Don't be frightened. It's going to be all right. You'll hardly feel this. It won't hurt.
Sure. I might have hit it. I don't know.
It's gone.
Yes, are you? Victor. Victor. Oh, Victor. He never recovered consciousness again. Outside, I looked for the thing I'd shot at. But there was no sign of it. I returned to the lab and burnt every paper, destroyed every single evidence of Victor Frankenstein's terrible experiment. But the result of that experiment has never been found. Nor have I been able yet to convince the authorities that such a thing ever existed.
Suspense. Presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Mr. Herbert Marshall. This is Harlow Wilcox speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. They are members of the Autolite family, as well as of the 98,000 Autolite distributors and dealers in the United States and thousands more in Canada and throughout the world.
Our family also includes the nearly 30,000 men and women in 28 great Autolite plants from coast to coast, and Autolite plants in many foreign countries, as well as the 18,000 people who have invested a portion of their savings in Autolite. Every Autolite product is backed by constant research and precision built to the highest standards of quality and performance. So remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
Next week, a story based on fact, terrifying in its truth. The dramatic report of a man returning home to find he now lives in a frightened city. Our star, Mr. Frank Lovejoy. The program will be heard on Suspense. Tonight's story was adapted for Suspense by Anthony Ellis. Suspense is transcribed and directed by Elliot Lewis. Music was written by Lucian Morlick and conducted by Ludlow.